And we're live. Salutations, fellow idiots. Welcome to yet another episode of that full moon madness, baby. This is a pretty special one we got going on tonight. It is the first part of our fall haul extravaganza. So this kicks off like easily the biggest haul I will ever make in the history of full moon collecting. We're joined here by a special guest this evening, one David Streggy from Inside Movies Galore and Delusions of Grandeur. Dave was
Hello,
nice
ladies and
enough.
gentlemen.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for coming out.
Definitely.
Super glad that we were able to get you in here. We're going to be sipping on a little holiday spirit here. We got some Screwball peanut butter whiskey. You guys ever get a chance to give this stuff a try? Highly recommend it. Just tastes like a, Reese's peanut butter cup, or actually, it's probably closer to the cereal. But we got a lot of pickups to go through here tonight. Thank you very much for keeping me company during this, Dave. We got Septum Sin from Septum Sin versus the World sitting in the wings back there. He is knee deep in some holiday Monopoly with the family, but he's going to hop on and join us afterwards if we're still going, which I'm sure we will be. We got a lot of festivities to get through here, some announcements that we got to make. I'm sure me and Dave will shoot the shit about various full moon related stuff. Obviously, we're here to answer any questions. Nobody's watching at the moment, but I imagine when you guys are, feel free to throw it in the chat and we'll get to it. I've got it all up here in front of me. So I should be able to do a pretty good job of keeping track of everything.
Actually, I do have a couple of full moon stuff to show off. So
nice. Right in arm's reach, huh?
I've shown off on my Delusions of Grandeur what's in my room episodes. Well, these when I pick them up, but I don't mind pulling a few of these out for old time's sake.
Hell yeah, dude. That's what it's all about. Just a little show and tell session. I frequently do them on my channel as well. I've got something like 32 movies for us to look at here, plus a few, bonus gifts that I got sent in or got from Full Moon as part of orders. So we've got a lot of stuff to look at. Dave, I'm sure, has plenty of treasures over there in his archives. It's like the fucking end of Raiders of the Lost Ark in that bitch. So there's always something cool to pull out and look at over there. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good time, man. Cheers, bud.
Cheers.
You end up getting your Wendy's?
Yeah. Took forever, though.
Yeah, it seems like they're real slow, especially like
now, fast food in general right now is slow because nobody wants to work.
There's that, yeah, but Wendy's always seems like they take longer than the other spots for me. Maybe it's just our shitty luck, but
well, it should not take like 45 minutes to an hour to get through a drive-through line.
No, not at all. So first up here, we are going to take a look at the free gifts that I received. A couple of these came in from my buddy Andrew Wollerick, who I'm sure if he wasn't working, he would have joined us tonight as well. Andrew is, fellow Oregonian, fellow mailman, fellow full moon fanatic, and he has hooked me up with some dope full moon stuff over the past year. Definitely going to be purchasing some cool full moon stuff off of him in the future, I imagine. And he's hooked me up with a couple of other like memorabilia vendors and whatnot that sell stuff as well. So a lot of angles on some really neat, unique full moon stuff has came through Andrew. But, he sent me other movies in addition to these, but the full moon titles that he sent in was Decadent and Evil, solid little sort of spin-off to Vampire Journals, I guess. They tack it on at the beginning to tie it in. Don't really know how much of it has to do with it outside of that. But he also sent in Decadent and Evil 2, just a couple sleazy, cheesy little gems from, Full Moon's, post-millennium catalog. Some of the better stuff, I think. And it was super cool of him to send those in because I do already have copies of them, but Septum Sin doesn't. So he will be getting both of those. And then finally, for Andrew's little stack here, he also sent in a copy of Real Evil. It's a Danny Draven flick. I think it came out in the 2010s. Yeah, 2012. It looks like it's got some cool gory bits in it. Danny Draven has directed some gems for Full Moon. He's directed some fucking turds. This looks like it's a fucking turd, if we're being completely honest. But, good or bad, they're getting bought. collected and reviewed on this show. That's the whole point. So don't have high hopes for Real Evil, but it's on the shelf now. So thanks, Andrew. And then, this is kind of a cheat because it's not a DVD, so it goes directly against the title of our whole stream here, but it is our lone Blu-ray, and that is a lone Blu-ray copy of the Proto Full Moon classic, I would say, Laser Blast. This one got the MST3K treatment, so if you like a good riff track, you can check that out. I think they have both versions of them currently on Tubi, and I gotta say, definitely worth it. Their remastered DVDs are pretty great, but the Blu-ray transfers that they do are pretty decent as well. So it's not a huge upgrade to the remastered DVD, but it looks, nicer to an extent that you can notice it, if that makes sense. So that's it for my first little batch here. Dave, you want to show off a couple of things over there?
Sure. So recently, Charles Band put out a second autobiography of shit recently, called Confessions of a Puppet Master.
Hell
and
yeah.
Part of the whole thing with that, and the reason why I got it is because you could get 7 free movies from Full Moon itself, as long as you showed proof of purchase. So glad that I was able to pick up a copy of it, and I ended up picking up 8 films from stuff that I had not, and then the following week I ended up spending $160 getting some stuff that I had not picked up yet from Full Moon. If I could show it all on this, because I've got most of it archived in A to Z or whatnot, but I figured I'd come on and show Mo some of my recents and some of my full moons that I treasure. So
hell yeah, dude. Yeah, you've got a lot of it. And I mean, you did take in quite the haul recently with all that. I think we all got in on that sale. And
so this one, I have never gone on and videotaped that I have it. Partially because I had it in my collection before I started doing video uploads. This is the Flatiron Puppet Master box set.
Yeah, dude, that's that one they got that cease and desist for, I think. So that's kind of a rarity now.
So this has 9 of them on there. Puppet Master 1 through 3, 4. Let's see.
Yeah, it should have all the way up to because 6 is Curse of the Puppet Master, and then 7 is Retro, 8 is Legacy, and 9 is that first Access one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when I started collecting the other 3 or whatnot. It's definitely a rarity, and it was a step up from the Mill Creek set that they put out. Right?
Yeah, those and the first 3 Killjoys, right where it starts to get good.
So that's a set that I like to share off. Another set that I've had for quite some time is the Trancers box set.
Yeah, that's a nice one.
I got this, believe it or not, from oldies.com. They would sell some of the Full Moon stuff, and I think I got my Subspecies box set through there, and
nice.
As well as the Trancers. And then recently I went back and got that Trancers standalone film, and then a friend of mine I bought Trancers 6 from to complete the whole ensemble.
I've heard it's terrible. I keep meaning to watch it, but it looks like it's got some fun bits in it. It might be a fun B movie in the very least,
So this you showed Real Evil. Well, Real Evil was one of the ones that I bought in my following week of the 7 movies thing. I haven't watched it. I haven't opened it yet. I'm sure it's some badness that I have yet to check out.
It
But
can go either way with old Danny
yeah,
Trejo, man.
it could definitely go either way. So I'm not holding any high hopes for that. But this I was able to show you. This was one of my freebies. It came with Femalian. What is it?
Cosmic Crush.
3 Cosmic Crush, and then I guess I'll show off my last three here. So Dragon World,
Nice. God, I can't wait to get my copy.
the remaster, and Remote, which are both directed by Ted Nicklau of Subspecies. So I'm interested in seeing some fantasy and kind of like video game humor from back in the day from him, you know?
Yeah, dude. Remote is just such a good, you know, what do you call it? Like Home Alone sort of send up, I guess, that it works. It's like, it's probably the best one that I've seen, honestly.
And then I already had this as a double feature because Troll ended up being like one of those ones that went on and became more mainstream.
Wait a minute. Did they send you that?
They sent me this as a free gift.
What the fuck, dude? Because you can't buy it through them.
No, evidently.
Yeah, so you got like some old stock right there. I mean, I'm gonna order that standalone of Troll as well. I have it in that double feature with Troll 2, but for the Full Moon collection, I would like that one because that one has the logo on the spine, right? Like it's fully.
Yeah, it has the logo on the spine.
Yeah, it's like it's that them and whatever that kangaroo company is. They were releasing stuff through for a while. But yeah, that dude, that's not like you can't just go type that into their web store and buy it. I checked when I saw it in your stack, and then I looked for it online, and it's not too bad. I think I found a copy for like $13. So yeah, Troll's a must. That's like one of the best Empire movies right there, in my opinion. If I had to pick a top 3 Empire films, it would be Reanimator, Troll, and Robot Jox.
Well,
so speaking of. Oh, go ahead.
I'll save my last one until after you show some more stuff. So, because I figured that the next one is kind of a treat.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we're just getting through the free gifts stack here. I only have a couple items left in it, and that is a copy of The Creeps. I don't know if you're familiar with this one. It's basically just Full Moon doing Universal Monsters, guys. So, you know.
It came out around the same time as Sideshow, and I would say if you ever wanted to double feature both Sideshow and the Creeps, that's a pretty decent double feature night.
Indeed, dude. Sideshow is like 3 years later, but it is like perfect. And they both have Phil Fondacaro in them being creepy as hell. So, you know, can't go wrong with that. I mean, it's definitely not Full Moon's best hour, even of the later 90s, but it's fun. It's got a sleazy, campy vibe to it. And you got, you know, Full Moon doing their little creatures thing, but with the Universal Monsters or whatever. And that's pretty cool. I think they actually use like very much the literary versions of them, you know, because the Wolfman is like the Wolfman of Paris or something like that from some book. But, you know, that's where the Universal stuff pretty much comes from anyways.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other free gift that Full Moon sent in is just a copy here of Vampire Slaughter Eaten Alive. This is volume 4 in their Bunker of Blood series of like anthology films. They take footage from their older movies and they chop it up and they put like a new wraparound with it and turn it into like a little creep show style anthology movie. They're pretty fun. They're not, you know, high on my priority list of Full Moon things to collect just because of the fact that, you know, I already own the movies, but it is kind of a fun extra thing to collect on the side. The way I understand it, they kind of started when they were doing the Full Moon Road shows and they needed like extra stuff to just have out there for people to collect, you know, to kind of try to support the company in their time of need. And then they've just kept doing them over the years and they are pretty fun. You know, if you don't have time to like sit down and watch the 3 movies they chop up for it, it's a cool way to get a little quick fix of those films and, you know, kind of have on as background sound. So I will be getting them all eventually, but they're bottom tier as far as. So you look like you've got something else to take a look at there, David.
Yeah, I do. So the free gift that I got with my 7 movie stack, I found where I stuck it. This was another one like you just shown, where they do like greatest hits, deadly dolls, deepest cuts, which I believe it has stuff from Blood Dolls, Doll Graveyard, Dangerous Worry Dolls, and Demonic Toys.
Yeah,
So,
makes sense.
So they often do that. It's and then from the Grindhouse collection, I picked up an older one that's been on their roster for a little bit, Dream Maniac.
Yeah, early Dave Dakota film right there. I think it's first film after he stopped doing porn.
And then from the director of Subspecies, since I love Subspecies, is Don't Let Her In. That was another one that I got for free. Oh, not for free.
Yeah, new one, dude. That just came out this year, actually. I think so. Beginning of the year, kind of. So, have you gotten a chance to watch it yet?
I did. I liked it.
Right? So, I mean, it's not super over the top, and there's not a ton of blood or gore, but it's like a fun little micro budget, like demon, you know, roommate from hell movie with a substantial amount of sexiness in there. You know, it goes for it. It's nothing super amazing, but it's good. It's a good example of Full Moon's, you know, recent run of just doing solid quality stuff, even if it's not like on a huge scale.
That Ted Nicklau definitely still has it.
Yeah, that's what I looked at it as. Like a demo tape to see if he's ready to do Subspecies 5, and he is, for sure.
So did you have anything else to share?
Oh, tons, man. Lots of stuff. I'm going to give that fucking peanut butter whiskey a rest here, though. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. I got some contact haze, though. This stuff goes down nice.
Peanut butter whiskey.
You wouldn't think that it would work, man, but it really, really does. Like I said, it just tastes almost exactly like that, you know, Reese's peanut butter, like Puffs, the cereal. Screwball peanut butter whiskey, man. It's not something I would drink regularly because I imagine you get sick as fuck if you put too much of that in your body. But
yeah, I wish I could find my copy of Dragon World 2.
I didn't even know that existed until you told me about it after you ordered the first one.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, who is that plays the Ents in Lord of the Rings and Gimli the Dwarf?
Oh shit. I forget his name. It's like right on the tip of my tongue too. If you guys, our one viewer knows who the guy that plays Gimli is, and is it Rice Davies or something like that?
Yeah, Rice Davies. He's in that.
Nice. Well, I mean, it sounds like a piece of crap when I've read about it, but it's cool. You know, if they want to throw Rice Davies in there, I'm down. So our next films here are, you know, this is starting my actual pickups from the fall haul. It's, you know, stuff that I intentionally bought. It wasn't sent in by Full Moon or friends or anything like that. The first one that we have here is a copy of Talisman from 1998. This sounds like it's some of your typical sort of hell on earth, you know, demons are somehow bound to this talisman, and they have to, you know, achieve 7 human sacrifices to be freed and have like hell on earth, you know, wreak havoc on everybody. Not my preferred subgenre of horror. I'm not a huge biblical, like, end of days horror fan. It's just always felt kind of lazy to me because they do them all the time. But then again, I love slasher movies, so what the fuck do I know? It's not a preferred subgenre. And then we kind of have a little more of that, it seems like, here with Totem, which I believe came out in 1999. And, you know, both of these films I was not familiar with before purchasing them, other than having seen the posters behind, you know, Charlie Band during like a late 90s Video Zone at a couple of points. And they both kind of, well, Talisman looks cool because it looks like a 90s thrash album. Totem looks like fucking junk, but it actually sounds like I'll probably enjoy it more as just a horror film than Talisman. They're pretty similar in Totem. You know, six average like college kids or whatever, teenagers are going about their normal lives, and they're suddenly seized with this compulsion to like visit this, you know, rundown cemetery where there's this totem and these three masters of death, and they enact this whole thing where the like three of the kids get turned into the killers, three of them get turned into the sacrificial lambs, and if everything goes as planned, you know, the undead will come and walk the earth or some shit like that. It does look like we get some pretty decent like low budget zombie makeups in it, so that already has a point in its favor over Talisman. Talisman just looks like we might have a couple of naked chicks and dudes in sweet suits because it's one of those biblical movies, so everyone's dressed for the occasion or something. Then, you know, a couple of films here that Dave, or one of them at least, that Dave just mentioned. But before we get to that, we do have a film by Ted Nicolau, and that is Ragdoll. This is kind of a prototype for them eventually doing Ooga Booga later on, and it's a lot of fun. You know, Ted is still, you know, putting all his directorial skills to use, even though he's working on a much smaller budget than he had previously to this. The music in it is actually pretty dope. Fun fact, it was all done by the dude who plays the main bad guy, like the main gangster dude in the first Killjoy movie. And that's a high point of it for sure as well. But you know, at the end of the day, it's really just like one of their urban horror films. You know, local rapper kid is getting like harassed by these local toughs to work for them. He doesn't want to. They rough up his grandma, so you know, she happens to be a voodoo priestess, and he puts the killing magic in this little doll, and it goes, you know, exacting his revenge on them. And then after that, before we let Dave get back into a couple here, we got Sideshow, which we just were talking about, you know, moments ago. Sideshow is a Fred Olen Ray movie that he did for Full Moon. By all accounts, he had an absolute nightmare of a time doing it. And, you know, thankfully it doesn't really show in the final product. What you really do get is just a creepy little carnival movie with a ton of really good creature makeups and stuff like that. And Phil Fondacaro playing like the little ringmaster of the freak show and doing kind of a wishmaster gimmick with these kids that were acting like assholes at the sideshow, and then through this fucked up sort of wishmaster gimmick, they end up getting their comeuppance and stuff like that. Don't want to spoil any of it for you there. Other than, you know, that general premise, but definitely a gem of the early 2000s. I think Sideshow is one of those movies that if Full Moon had done it a few years earlier, like even 5 or 6 years earlier, Sideshow would have gotten.
There's my copy.
Nice, dude. See, alternate covers.
Not to be confused with this copy of Sideshow.
Nice. See, that's what I mean, dude. Like, I'm starting to want to get into the alternate covers already, because it seems like a fun way to just check off different editions.
That's a totally different movie. With
the second one looks like it was nothing to do with this one, but like your cover of Sideshow is different. This is like the VHS cover that I also have. So it is nice to know that there's DVD editions of it out there with different covers.
All right. So that after I had gotten the free stuff, I did go and get like $160 worth of shit, and I unearthed 3 more that nice. I had just stuck away just for this. So Andromeda, the Pleasure Planet.
Nice, that's on my list.
I know that's under their Surrender Cinema label.
It all counts, man.
It's not on their pleasure box, but
yeah, that's why it's on my list.
Another one is called Amorous Sisters. I don't know why, but I just decided to. It's got Jane Baker, Bridget LaHale, and Flor Solier. I assume that this was under their Surrender Cinema stuff, but it is a Full Moon feature, it looks like. A Scott Elite
Yeah,
Entertainment. Oh no, that one seems like it skates the surrender cinema era.
some of
Um,
them do because they like went back on it a little bit for a minute, but yeah,
Assault of the Killer Bimbos,
nice. That's on my list as well.
and that one's directed by Anita Rosenberg. So I'm definitely going to be checking that out when I get a chance. I know I picked up Bikini Holocaust or Bikini Apocalypse.
See, that's one end of it. I'm still like really sort of just starting to dabble in. I mean, I've got some Torchlight films like the Beach Babes movies. I've got plenty of Surrender stuff now that I got that pleasure box, but there's a lot more of it that I need to get. For anybody listening that's unfamiliar, Surrender Cinema, formerly Torchlight, was Full Moon's like soft core sci-fi comedy like label, you know. The movies would typically be like fun, campy B movies, but they just had some pretty intense like sex scenes and nudity and stuff on the side of that. Beach Babes from Beyond is probably the best example of like the origins of it, because that almost
Yeah,
feels like,
I did pick up those two, Beach Babes from Beyond and Beach Babes 2.
oh
So
yeah, dude. I mean, those feel like if, you know, Trauma did a beach blanket bingo movie from back in the day, but then just had, you know, almost hardcore porn scenes in it, you know? Because the Surrender stuff is softcore, but it's softcore in that way where it's like a couple of steps further and you're buying it from behind a seedy curtain, you know? Uh, it's fun stuff though. Like the fact that they are actually pretty fun B movies on top of being, you know, nice and steamy doesn't hurt. So I'd
no,
rather buy that than just like actual porn. If they were just porn, I wouldn't collect them probably because it's, who cares? You know, I can just, we have the internet now.
I think I'd gotten this one from a good director a friend of mine, Birthright. I know I didn't get this one from any of the sales that I recently got. Birthright.
That, yeah, that looks like it might be part of that whole Dave Dakota line of like weird, low budget, sort of softcore stuff. Sometimes
Devin
they
Hamilton.
advertise it a bunch in Delirium.
Devin Hamilton was the director of it, and Julie Strain is in it. So Brent Stevens.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like Full Moon alum. So
Yeah.
Dakota's, yeah, there's the logo there.
And I know I picked up Witch House 2 and 3.
The best of the bunch. Two's my favorite, I think. First one's all right.
Because I knew I had Witch House and Witch House. It was Witch House and Witch House 2. Because 3 I already had.
Witch House, the first one, is good, but it tries a little too hard to be Night of the Demons. The second one, when J.R. Bookwalter comes into play, which really anything that Full Moon didn't produce that they put out, like under the main label stuff in those days, has something usually to do with J.R. Bookwalter. Even David Sterling had Demonicus come out through Full Moon back then. But dude, Witch House 2, there's just something about that. And you got Andrew Prine in there playing 2 different characters. Like, shit is just brilliant. I
forgot
I love it.
I forgot about these. So this one I picked up from the $160 thing, Naked Girl, Murdered in the Park.
Yeah, that's one I've been curious about, man. It's one of those like Euro sleaze exploitation films they got out.
Yeah, Alfonso Brescia is the director of it with Dario Films and Lewis Films, but it's under Full Moon. I thought that was interesting. And then I picked up Necropolis.
Very nice. Good movie.
And Necropolis Legion.
Also good. Have you got to watch that one yet?
I watched both of them, and both of them are definitely different.
Yeah,
I still have to rewatch them so that I can like fully like understand both of them to an extent where I can go on about them. But
right,
the first one. Different. I mean, the first one you can't knock for the chick having 6 tits.
Yeah, it's amazing, and she's just milking them to those zombies in the fucking sewers. Just breastfeeding a bunch of zombies. I mean, I guess having 6 tits comes in handy then. You know, she'd have fit in like real good on the Wookiee home planet because, as we well know, they have 6 breasts as well. But yeah, the second one is Chris Alexander, if I remember right, Necropolis Legion, and that guy's on a roll of making like these rad, psychedelic, low budget movies for Full Moon right now. Like, I'm pretty sure Necropolis Legion is the whole reason that they greenlit Delirium Films, which, I mean, I guess now's a good time to break momentarily and talk about new releases that Full Moon has coming up that are on my wish list.
Deadly 10?
Well, we got the Deadly 10, of course. Progress on that's a little sketchy to keep track of. I know that they are working on Subspecies 5. So that's obviously the biggest deal. I don't know.
Pick up Blade the Iron Cross on Blu-ray, so
nice. Yeah, and that's one of my additions as well during like this whole haul was Blade Iron Cross. It was the only Puppet Master movie I needed. But as far as new releases go, like I said, the Deadly Tens, they're working on Subspecies 5 for sure. Like they went back to Romania to start working on that. That's the one I'm waiting for. We are getting at least 2 more movies in the whole Resonator Miskatonic U thing that they have going on, which if you haven't checked it out, you should, Dave. It is a really fun reimagining. I
really did like that one. I mean,
you did see it.
Yeah, I did. And I love the fact that they did a Marvel universe like the animator dude at the end of it.
Yeah, it's been out long enough now. I don't care about spoiling it. They tie it into Reanimator at the end. So the next film is going to be a From Beyond and Reanimator crossover. And then who fucking knows where they could go with it from there. I mean, and honestly, Resonator has given me hope that they could do like an Avengers style Full Moon movie with like a new Jack Death and a new Dr. Mordred and have it actually work. You know what I mean?
That's one I still need to pick up, Dr. Mordred. I realized that when I was going and doing stuff, but I've had so much Christmas stuff to take care of. I haven't been
fair
able to
enough.
Full Moon's website to actually see what else that I still need.
Need to say more? You know, he's right back there, baby. Dr. Mordred is one of the best of the bunch. And you know, a huge cornerstone in my argument that Full Moon had the Marvel universe, as you touched on, well before Marvel
I think
ever.
Dr. Mordred is definitely a Doctor Strange of his universe.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a Doctor Strange movie. But they lost like the copyright in the time they were doing pre-production for it. Like it took a while to get to actually making the movie. And so they ended up not being able to make it as a Doctor Strange movie, and they just swapped them something. They changed his fucking name and a few pieces of verbiage here and there, you know, so that they didn't get sued. But it's a Doctor Strange movie for sure.
I believe another one that I picked up was the Ascent remastered, or the Dark Descent, or
Dark Angel: The Ascent. That is such a fucking good movie, dude. Such a good movie. That is one of those random like early 90s Full Moon movies that I somehow completely missed. I maybe saw like the cover at the video store, but if I saw it at the video store, I would have rented it. So I'm not quite certain how I completely missed Dark Angel, but I've watched it since getting my copy of that same edition, and man, is it fucking good. Have you checked it out?
I have an earlier edition of it and the remaster. I have not rewatched it in years. But see, I was more a collector first, and then I've watched all of the Puppet Masters up until Blade, which I still have to check out Blade one of these days, just to finish, you know. Going into that universe, and then I've done anything with Dangerous Toys and Dangerous Worry Dolls and Blood Dolls. I used to have a fucking Blood Doll, the fucking pimp ass.
The 12-inch figure.
Yeah, it came into Salvation Army while I was working there, and I had it for a time.
He's on my list. He will be mine.
Too bad. Bad. It got like destroyed, unfortunately. Wild Party. Anyways,
hey, it can happen. But back onto those new releases momentarily. We do obviously have, that stuff coming out. I think they're doing 2 more Baby Oopsie movies, which is rad because the first one rocked. I might be wrong on that. They
There
might
was
only be confirmed for 1 more right now.
no who. What is the name of the Baby Oopsie movie?
Just Baby Oopsie.
It's just called Baby Oopsie.
Yeah, dude, and it fucking kicked ass. I was honestly expecting it to be a piece of shit, and it absolutely
Do
blew
they
away
still
all of
have
my
it for sale?
expectations. They don't have it out physically yet. That's where what I was getting at the other day. Like, we have a whole 2022 slate of physical releases from Full Moon. That's going to be bonkers because we should be getting Baby Oopsie. Well, we will be getting Baby Oopsie for sure. I think Gingerweed Man already got his physical release because he was a bit earlier in the year. But then we also have some other cool movies that they're just distributing now. Like, we got that Island of the Fishmen. We got Scorpion with Two Tails. We got the remastered edition of The End of the World with Christopher Lee. And we also have those 2 movies from Delirium Films that should be getting their physical releases, which are It Knows You're Alone and Screams of the Blind Dead, both also from Chris Alexander, who did Necropolis Legion. Both fantastic, too, by the way. You should definitely check those out, Dave. They're both only like 40 minutes long, and they're just visual treats. They're made.
Full Moon actually physically releases them as like a double feature or something like that.
I think they're going to get individual releases. I feel like I read that somewhere. And they're talking about distributing micro budget movies as well through the Delirium Films label, because that's something that we got to celebrate here for sure. Is like we have a full new sub label of Full Moon that we get to look forward to releases from, and that's Delirium Films, which is essentially through their magazine. It's them doing low budget. It's Fangoria Presents done under Full Moon, very much like how Delirium is just Fangoria done under Full Moon by Chris Alexander. Sorry, I had someone come in over there for a minute. And I'm intrigued by that, the idea that Full Moon might be signing on some micro-budget films to release under that label. I mean, that's another place that, up-and-coming filmmakers can go to get their films put out there, So Delirium Films all the way. I'm signing off on it. Like, it's got my stamp of approval.
I also picked up the Corona Zombie trilogy, which is well, it starts with this one, and it spawned the Barbie and Kendra.
Yeah, Barbie and Kendra Storm Area 51, and then Barbie and Kendra. What the hell is that? Save the Tiger King. Yeah, dude, those are on my list as well. So Dave's ahead of me on several levels here with some of these.
And I like
releases.
the fact that he starts out the Confessions of a Puppet Master during that Barbie and Kendra time.
Yeah, well, it's a pivotal time, dude. I mean, Full Moon has faced some dire straits over the years in terms of like, having the misfortune of being like a small budget film studio during like things like the recession, the death of the video store. All these things have profoundly affected Full Moon, and I got to give them credit a million times over for the fact that they have kept on trucking throughout the entirety of the pandemic, doing honestly some of the best stuff that they've done in years. And again, that's all part of that new release slate we have to look forward to. And the recent release slates that they've had going on this last half of the year, you've had several of their newer releases there to show on camera tonight. Oh yeah, let's pop over there and let him show that for a minute, because you guys are definitely going to be seeing that later in this fall haul extravaganza. But get a little sneak peek through Dave right now.
I had this on hold from a friend, and it is the Puppet Master Toulon Blu-ray box set. I haven't even opened these yet. And no, he didn't sell me them with the action figures, because he's more into the action figures. But
hey,
I thought this was pretty cool. Cool for having it on hold for like a long time.
You never know, dude. You could luck out and finally get those action figures once they finally have 6 of them out to fill the fucking thing. That's one of my biggest gripes about Full Moon Collectibles right now is you can get the trunk and the 3 minifigures, but then what the hell do you do with the other side? You just put Mr. Slauson and the fucking laser blast alien in there? Like, what the hell am I supposed to do with the other cubby? They stopped releasing the Puppet Master figures like 3 figures in because, as much as I love Full Moon and as much as I love that they are down to do action figures and things like that, they suck ass about like seeing it through till the end and actually having full lines of figures out. They had like that one time in the 90s they did it, and that was it.
I think the first Full Moon picture that I ever picked up was Parasite, and I don't know why, but that was my first.
It looks so fucking rad, dude. I mean, that's so high on my list of priorities to get. If it wasn't out of print, I'd have the DVD and the big box VHS through Full Moon, but
and I know my copies of Decadent Evil 1 and 2 I picked up at what is it, Blockbuster during the day when they actually rented the fucking things, and they were going out of business. And Decadent Evil 1 and 2 were part of that. Because I kept just going back to the Blockbuster every like week because they kept on having sales.
Yeah, dude. Video store like clearance was the best thing ever when you could go get like a movie for a nickel or some shit.
5 movies for $20. That was
oh, good.
That was what they had going on every single week. So all the new releases you could get for like 5 for $20.
See, we never had a Blockbuster here, so I never experienced that. But definitely, like when Hometown Video, my childhood video store, rest in peace. When it switched over from VHS to DVD, I think it was actually 10 cents. You could get 10, VHS tapes for $1. So I went in there and just basically pillaged the fucking horror section. It was everything that I could get my hands on came home with me, and I was still a kid at the time, so I didn't have a ton of cash. If I if I was like now, I would have bought every single tape they had in that horror collection. Just put it all in my car, and I'll give you the money right now.
Yeah, I think that's how I got my Seasons of Deadwood, because they had all 3 seasons of Deadwood for like $20 at the end. At the end, and
can't beat that.
Nope. So, and
so what else? Me, oh, good.
To me, Blockbuster was just like getting it for real to me at the time. So even though I know when you try to go and sell them, they act like they're afraid to like buy them at a regular retail.
That's not so much of a thing now, and there are some people that will even maybe pay you like a little extra for rental stickers and things like that, depending on the situation. I don't know, man. Most movies that go into my collection aren't leaving unless I upgrade, and then I'm just gonna give it to someone. But I feel you on that. I don't know. I think that about covers it, though. The stuff I mentioned as far as new releases. There is the potentiality of us having a Leech Woman replica here soon because Big Bad Toy Store sold a ton of pre-orders for them, but it has not appeared on the Full Moon website yet. So what I'm thinking is Full Moon has some type of a deal with them because they do carry all the Full Moon collectibles. So maybe it's a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive at first, and then eventually we are going to get it as a replica. But that's more on the collectible end of things. As far as movies, that's all the shit I can really think of. The main ones being Island of the Fishmen, Scorpion with Two Tails, that remastered End of the World, and the 2 films from Delirium. And then, Baby Oopsie getting a physical release and stuff like that. So I think if it works on the same time schedule that it usually does, the January, February new release slate for Full Moon should be pretty thick. It's like a good half dozen movies we'll be able to get our hands on. that we'll all need, because they're brand new releases for the first time. So it's exciting. It really is like cool to see Full Moon put out all this new stuff that's actually interesting, and stuff that we want physical releases of so we can add it to the collection.
Well, and I hope we get Pre-Hysteria 2 and 3 or something like that, or
Yeah.
the that what is that kid that
Josh
Dino
Kirby.
Josh Kirby. I would like to see that like
Yeah.
on Blu-ray
We
and
need him
remastered.
bad. We need him, period. Yeah, the Full Moon doesn't even have Josh Kirby in print anymore.
Well, no.
So there's like lots of stuff like that needs to still come out. I mean, even if they don't have, Blu-ray quality masters of the Pre-Hysteria 2 and 3,
Well, yeah,
put them out on DVD at least, so that we can buy the fucking shit. Same thing with Beanstalk. That's another Moonbeam film that, as far as I'm aware, has never gotten a DVD release. Dude, it's so dope. It is so dope. The cast of it alone is fucking stacked full of people that we know from like the 80s and the 90s. It is rad. I used to rent the shit out of it, and it just is stuck on VHS.
Wasn't there a Full Moon thing called Shadow releasing at one point in time?
That rings a bell. What did that do? I don't think that had anything.
Shadow something?
Yeah, that rings a bell, because even with all the many sub-labels of Full Moon there's been,
I thought
there's still some that like I don't even.
I thought the William Shatner Shroom Lake or whatever was
Groom
under
Lake?
it.
Isn't that it? I don't know. I'm not too familiar with that. There are a couple of short-lived Full Moon sub-labels that put out like 3 movies and then disappeared.
Yeah.
Most of the main ones have stuck around, and I'm confident that the Delirium Films one is going to be one that we see around for a long time to come. The magazine certainly has done well enough to hang around for 28 issues, and it only publishes, I think, 4 times a year, so it's been around for a long time. Delirium, a lot longer than the newest edition of Fangoria, which is just a waste of fucking money.
I agree. Well, I don't have anything else to share that I can grab close hand.
Oh, we still got some good stuff to look at here, though. We can get your opinions on these. That does it for the new releases portion of this discussion, though. If there's anything else that's high on our lists, I don't think so. But I mean, that felt like everything we've talked about recently, right? In terms of new releases, I tend to share them in our group chat when there's like a Full Moon announcement of something that has a streaming premiere. And
I'm glad that we've got some of the Deadly 10 already out there. So
we should have gotten more. I'm a little perplexed as to why they've. I mean, I'm not complaining because we've gotten a lot of cool stuff, but I am a little perplexed as to why we've gotten so much other stuff and so little of. I mean, the Deadly 10 movies, I think they've only done 4 of them, so there's like still 6 to do. Couple that don't even sound that good, but like Bride of the Head of the Family and Subspecies 5 are like the biggest deals of all of them.
That's right.
Because Bride of the Head of the Family we've been waiting for like over a fucking decade.
You know what we need is I thought that there was something called Hologram Man at one point. Hologram Man 1 and 2. Those were Full Moon releases at one point in time.
Maybe. Those don't ring a bell to me, but again, I don't know every single film they've ever put out.
I'll have to look back at those because I remembered seeing like a double. This was a double feature that was out in a mainstream for a while, and then it went out of print as fuck.
So Full Moon, people don't associate Full Moon as much with just releasing films and distributing them as they do Troma, but Full Moon has done it a fair amount. Like Demonicus is a David Sterling movie. He's able to advertise that and do with it what he wants, So some
David
movies
David Sterling started out working under a porn distribution thing called Vista Street series. and then he somehow got in touch with Charles Band along his journey, and Demonicus is like that
brief,
brief
little
full
monument to
moon
their brief
relationship.
interaction. Yeah. Well, and J.R. Bookwalter put out several films through Full Moon. I mean, there's ones he directed for them, and then there's ones that he just produced that he then released through Full Moon because he had a thing with them in like the early 2000s.
He's part of the Witch House
Yeah,
stuff.
Witch House 2 and 3, and then, well, our next movie here actually, Stitches. This is this one here, and then this is that David Sterling joint, Demonicus. So both from 2001. But Stitches, JR is like produced through him, and then Dead and Rotting was another one that JR produced
Yeah, I
and then like
believe I got
released
Dead
through
and
Full
Rotting
Moon.
on something else, but I think that kind of stemmed that the Dead want women or something like that, and some other films.
Yeah, that is
back in
actually
the
coming
day.
up right here. But and then I think he also had something to do with Killjoy 2 because
Yeah,
Trent Haga and Debbie Rochon are in there. And as you know from our conversation with Chris, those guys kind of came as a package deal through JR. So if you knew JR
okay.
Bookwalter, there was a good chance you could get both of those people in your movie. And it has that feeling too of like a JR produced thing. And then with Killjoy 3, they get awesome. But yeah, both, these could be considered not Full Moon movies if you want to look at it that way. They're movies that weren't made by like in-house Full Moon talent. Full Moon put them out through their relationship with David Sterling and with J.R. Bookwalter. And it's kind of a rarity. They've never done it as much as like Lloyd and Troma do it. But it does exist in the Full Moon library. And then we have another urban flick here.
I will say that I did get involved with putting some money into Evil Bong 4, 5,
Nice.
6, and 7.
Worthy contributions. We thank you, sir.
It was just $25 to get the movies, and then the Evil Bong 7. You could get it signed for like 30 or something like that, but it was still a contribution to get something.
Yeah, every penny helps, man. I mean, I like to think of all the stuff that I buy through Full Moon as definitely contributing to them making movies. Over the last year, I've at least paid for like craft service for an entire Full Moon project or
anything
something.
I buy into, I at least make sure that I'm getting a copy that I can have sitting on my desk at home and watch it at home. I don't like any of those Indiegogo campaigns that say, "Here, have a digital for $15."
I've never even done anything like that, honestly.
That's like a personal fuck you, where you're not getting a copy of the film.
My Indiegogo is I'll buy your fucking merch. You know what I mean? That's it. I'll buy the product, respect to you guys that do that and help fund these movies on the back end. But I got burned with a gaming thing I did once, and I've always been skeptical. But
that
anyways,
reminds me.
You ever hear this one? Oh, good.
Yeah. I did buy the Skullheads retitled.
Oh, yeah, that's coming up in here too. Crips, though, is one that I do have on VHS.
That was one of his urban adventures.
Yep. It's one of the urban ones. It's basically just From Dusk Till Dawn with it. It's From Dusk Till Dawn with rappers, That's what it is. It literally is like vampires in a strip club. And it's just happening to like this group of local rappers. And I'm sure it's probably fun. It does look like it's got some decent vampire makeups in it, so I can live with that. Again, I have it on VHS and I've never watched it, so that says something at least about my first impressions or overall impression with it. I don't have high hopes for Crips with a Z, but I am going to watch it eventually. I mean, I obviously own it on 2 different formats now, so I've got to, but I'm just not looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to also hopefully being surprised by how good it turns out to be. Because sometimes those urban horror films will, you know, pull a fast one on you and end up being a lot better than they seem like they should be. I mean, Ragdoll's a good example of that. So
To me, Full Moon has always been a mixed bag. You're either going to love them or hate them. And for the most part, depending upon the director, especially like Ted Nicolau, you cannot go wrong with Ted Nicolau, no matter how bad the film is. You know.
yeah, I mean, and then there's different eras of Full Moon, obviously, where you know the consistency of them being good is like higher or lower or kind of in between. I'm developing a pretty good eye for it, obviously, through buying and watching and doing all this shit. You just kind of know, like, late 90s through, 2006 to 2008 in there was kind of like a dark period for Full Moon. And then they sort of figure it out in some areas and get back to being like where almost every movie's good again, but just in a different way through the 2010s. And then now, obviously, they're kind of finding their proper stride again. They're still doing that cool stuff, but then they're doing like other cool new things. They're never going to get back to the glory of the, early 90s to the mid 90s. That's the golden era, They had all that Paramount money and video store money, and they could basically do whatever the fuck they wanted. And that's where all of the best Full Moon shit comes from. But there's gems to be found. There's turds to be found too, and usually their turds are a decently good time. But next up here we have Doll Graveyard. This is actually one of those examples, sort of in the mid 2000s, of Full Moon kind of finding that spark again. Some real neat dolls in here. Charlie Band came out of like a little bit of a dormant period to direct that, and then like later on the same year or the next year also do Petrified, which is like, his killer mummy movie, but of course it's like a alien mummy or some shit. Looks pretty gross. I mean, it's he kind of would do that too. I mean, that's where the misconception that most of the Full Moon stuff isn't done by Charles Band. He's kind of like Lloyd Kaufman. He's not directing all the movies. He has like a influence on certain stuff, or he can greenlight ideas or shoot them down. But he kind of, if you really watch his career, he directs a handful of movies, then he goes dormant. Then he directs a handful of movies, then he goes dormant. And it always overlaps with the times when Full Moon has struggled.
Yeah.
That's when he stops directing for a while and kind of makes sure that it's still running. And then he might come back.
But I know
hasn't always been the great results. Some of them
I've
suck.
enjoyed hunting down some of his, like, during my heavily collecting days, and it's just I stopped collecting his stuff for a while because it was more or less I felt like I'd collected enough that I could always go back and like find them all. Or it wasn't until recently that I actually bought from directly him. So I don't think I think that 7 movie thing, and then I think I bought one other time. Oh yes, when I bought the Pleasure Box set, I think I bought on his website before.
Nice, dude. I mean, I prefer to give it to them because it's going to go to making movies and whatever else, But there's a reasonable certainty that some of the money is going to go into getting more work for more people and doing more Full Moon shit. Since we've mentioned it a couple of times, we might as well take a look at some Surrender stuff here before we dive into my last stack of like proper Full Moon pickups. But we got Familian Seduction of the Species here, which is a great example of them doing kind of what we were talking about earlier with Bunker of Blood, where they take and they make like an anthology movie out of their older movies and shoot a new wraparound for it. That's exactly what this is. It's like stuff from Famalian 2, Beach Babes, and Beach Babes 2, I think, are the movies that they cut together for it.
Okay.
And it's neat. It comes with, the forbidden rap. Me and you took a look at that one night where it's like just them naked on the other side. It's a pretty neat little addition for a surrender cinema movie, right? And then of course I've got the pleasure box that Dave has, mentioned several times here. This is a solid fucking set. I think it usually runs about $40 brand new. This was actually like $70 through Full Moon for some reason. But
I ended up picking it up when it was $90.
Damn, so we paid similar prices for it, man. I mean, but okay, here's the caveat to that, or whatever, the catch. The cheaper ones aren't printed by Full Moon or whatever. So I can't believe I forgot to mention this immediately, but if you buy it directly from Full Moon, you get more of these discs that are like the proper fucking Full Moon discs with the number and the Full Moon label. You see that one? Like the Virgins of Sherwood Forest. This one on the other side is like a generic disc.
At least I know I don't have to actually hunt that one down. At least I know it's in the pleasure box.
Right. Well, you know what I mean? And something like this wouldn't matter to you because it's the same exact print of the movie on the discs. It's just, I like to collect these numbered entries. So just knowing that like more of them are these numbered Full Moon discs is neat. It was worth paying, 70 instead of 40. Cause I guess those cheapo ones, almost all of them are just the basic discs with no art. And it just, even Full Moon includes some of those, but the ones that they did produce numbered individual titles for are in there. Like I think only 4 or 5 of the discs in this copy of the pleasure box that I got came as those generic discs. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's, as a collector, it's something worth noting. Like there's a difference in buying it straight from Full Moon or just getting one from whoever they were letting print off copies of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Anyway, in case you guys are curious out there in YouTube land, the titles that come on the pleasure box are Dungeon of Desire, Exotic House of Wax, The Exotic Time Machine 1 and 2, Hidden Beauties, The Awakening, Lolita 2000, Famalian 1 and 2, Virgins of Sherwood Forest, Pleasurecraft, Virtual Encounters, and Virtual Encounters 2. So 12 incredibly sexy, sensual surrender releases for the low price of $70. So that's, even buying it straight from Full Moon, it's still a really good deal.
Oh yeah.
And having gone through the discs individually, I can vouch for them having, trailers, and I think a couple of them even have like interviews on them, but I think trailers was the main special features. But that's still a really cool, addition. They could have just given you blank discs with like nothing on them. So
true. I know that a lot of Echo Bridge Acquisition Corp discs come with absolutely zilch
nothing.
On their releases. Same with Bayview Entertainment. I swear those companies are great for putting the independent films out there because Bunny the Killer Thing is actually on Bayview Entertainment. Believe it or not, right now, but at one point in time, it was on Raven Banner. So, to me, it's so much better when you can actually get like a behind the scenes and interviews, than
or
just
at least a trailer. I mean, if we're gonna review it, like especially now, I love trailers included because if I'm gonna do a fucking review of it, I need at least that much footage that I can just show. And then if I have to put some more stuff in there and risk having to explain to you that I'm not taking your copyright or something, then that's
hell. I wouldn't
like,
even
give me
mind
that 2 minutes.
I wouldn't even mind if they did a bloopers track. I mean, that would be awesome. Like all of a sudden, one of the women gets naked and like suddenly forgets to clothe herself or something like that.
Something, just something a little extra than just press play, or scene select is nice, even if it's just a trailer or commentary track or something. Interestingly enough, JR, a lot of those movies that he put out for Full Moon had Chris's. We talked about it in our talk with him.
Yep.
Where Chris Sieber had like Filthy McNasty and shit like that as special features on Full Moon discs that J.R. Bookwalter was able to put out through the company. So that's pretty neat. And typically, Full Moon was kind of known for special features, right? Because the video zones. So even on these DVD releases, like when they don't include the video zone, I'm just bummed. It's very rare.
That's the thing. There was a making of documentary of just a small one of Meridian on the Meridian remaster, which was kind of cool.
Full Moon was like one of the originators of that with those video zones. So like you could always count on there being some type of special feature with Full Moon, like 9 times out of 10, even when you were watching the shit on VHS tape. So when there's not a video zone for one, it's like, why didn't they make one at the time? I just find I'm bummed and kind of irritated with it, because you look forward to it. I mean, I want to see when they were like on set shooting the thing. But obviously up next here we have Dangerous Worry Dolls. This is from I think 2007, so kind of right after
Dangerous Worry Dolls and Doll Graveyard and Demonic Toys 2 on a triple feature.
Demonic Toys 2 is one I got to really get to reviewing, but I got to review Hideous first because it crosses over with that. Demonic Worry Dolls, though, is one that I was like kind of nervous about at first because I just saw the one little promo image where it shows like how small the dolls are next to the fingers there. But I don't think that we're like actually watching these dolls go around and kill people. It looks like one of them burrows into this lady's fucking skull and like possesses her. And then she goes around and does it. And it looks like it has some solid fucking
The
gore.
thing is, there are definitely a lot of Puppet Master related films that he tried to create like different dolls for each. That was Blood Dolls was another.
Blood Dolls is fantastic. I love it.
Skull Heads was another one, which he retitled as something entirely different.
Yep. They're all clearly denoted as such when you like look them up to purchase them. They say like, in other territories we would title these movies differently, and that's why if you buy this version you're getting it as Zombie Decadence and not Zombies versus Strippers or something. And unfortunately, that's the version I have. I really need to get the proper standalone. That's the proper title and artwork. But Dangerous Worry Dolls, it was one that I bought just to check it off the list and was kind of, worried about. But then once I got here and I actually looked at it, it actually does look pretty fucking rad. So I'm looking forward to checking that one out. And then after that, we have The Dead Want Women, which is one that Dave mentioned not that long ago. This is from 2011. It is another one of those movies Charlie Band came back to direct, much like Dangerous Worry Dolls there. And honestly, he knocks it out of the fucking park with it. There it is, dude. Yeah, that's the edition that I need of it so that I can have it the proper version of Zombies versus Strippers. But this is right there with Zombies versus Strippers of being the best shit Full Moon did in the 2010. If we had to pick a top 3, it would be, or if I did, it would be The Dead Want Women, Zombies versus Strippers, and Trophy Heads. And then like Ooga Booga would be the, sort of tied with probably this one for 3rd place. But it's really fucking good. Silent film star goes nuts when she finds out that she's not having her contract renewed with the studio at like the dawn of the talkies, because she was like a silent film star, but she's kind of a bitch and she sounds like it. So they don't want to like renew her contract. So she just flips out and kills all these people at her party. Later on, all the people she killed along with her come back and torment some girls because it turned out they were having like sleazy Hollywood sex dungeon parties or whatever. It's a good movie. It is actually one of the best movies Charlie Band's ever directed. It's more of a horror comedy than
I
it
have
is a
that.
horror movie. But yeah. Here we have The Evil Clergyman,
I
which
think
is
that at one point in time came in a trilogy box set with Evil Bayou or something like that.
I think
And
you're thinking of something else because this is one of those Pulse Pounder shorts, just like that Trancers City of Lost Angels. Like this
yeah,
goes right along with that, where they were supposed to be
okay,
part of Pulse Pounders back in the day, which Pulse Pounders was going to be Full Moon's or Empire at the time, their proper anthology film. You know, um, unfortunately, Empire had to go the way that it went, and Charlie Band started Full Moon. And in the process, like the shit for Pulse Pounders just got kind of lost. One of them was the Trancers sequel short, which is City of Lost Angels. One of them was The Evil Clergyman. One of them was a sequel to The Dungeon Master, which was an Empire film back in the day. And then I don't remember what the fourth one was, or if they actually had it conceived and made. But we're still waiting on that Dungeon Master sequel to come out, if memory serves. We should be getting that like as one of these, individual Pulse Pounder releases at some point.
huh?
So it's got Jeffrey Combs,
What?
Barbara Crampton. It's an H.P. Lovecraft thing. It definitely is directed by Charles Band, but so unfortunately, no Stuart Gordon. That would have just made it the perfect like lost piece of their history. But you have
Yeah,
all the other elements. We got H.P. Lovecraft, Jeffrey Combs, and Barbara Crampton. So.
I did end up getting a copy of The Evil Clergyman. I just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't checked it out yet either, but it does look like a lot of fun. This one I actually bought because of you, Dave, because you mentioned it like twice, and I thought you were joking, and then I bought it and like actually watched it and really fucking liked it. And that's Skull.
You thought I was joking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought you were, because it does look like shit when you just look at it. I mean, just look at that.
It's not bad, especially the castle that they use. I
Oh
think
no, yeah.
it's a similar castle that they've used in like I could swear it's got castle freak vibes.
It might be. Charlie owned that castle for a long time. And then they also had Castel Films, which was like a studio over in Romania that they set up after a while that, had like the castle that they shot some vampire journals and subspecies stuff at, the one they did Trancers 4 and 5 at, I believe, as well. They did Hideous there. Like it's, they did several movies. The Josh Kirby movies used it a bunch.
And I know that that Creepazoid gets some bad flack, but Creepazoid you have to put in there with some of that shit.
Creepazoids was awesome. I love Creepazoids.
I've heard some people have hated Creepazoid.
I mean, it's a bad movie, but it's it's fun. It's got Linnea Quigley in an extended shower scene. I mean, what else do you want?
True.
Yeah, definitely check out Creepazoids and check out my review for Creepazoids if you haven't seen it. So we're nearing the end here. We have actually some movies here that are new addition here. Dustin might appreciate.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hey. But this one was one that I, actually our next two were ones that I had to check off the list after waiting for like the entire year. For some reason, it took them four fucking ever to get Killjoy's Psycho Circus back in print. Here it is, finally. My Killjoy collection is complete. This one looks like it's probably the best one of all of them, and I'm very much looking forward to giving it a watch. Killjoy is one of those weird series Fullman's. It's really the only one Fullman's ever done. That's just kind of ass for like the first 2.5 movies.
I think it's Killjoy's Psycho Circus and Evil Bong 6 that I put a little bit more money on, and I ended up getting some like kick-ass like lighters
Nice.
full moon and some stickers.
That's where those
and
came from.
stuff.
Yeah, because they've started selling those again recently, the Evil Bong lighters and ashtrays, and it's cool. I'll get them eventually. But yeah, Killjoy is, like I said, it's weird, dude. The first two movies kind of suck. Even the second one with Debbie Rochon in it is like, that's the good part of the movie. Other than that, it sucks. And then you get to the third one, and all of a sudden it fucking rules. And it just continues to kick ass for the rest of the series, thankfully. Killjoy Goes to Hell is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, you know. And Trent Vega stayed on for it. He played Killjoy for the rest of the series, you know. So
they get better after 3, for sure. I think they took that one to another level.
Yeah, parts of 3 suck, but the majority of it's cool. That's why I said the first 2.5 movies. But anyways, another one that I was like really stoked to finally grab was the 30th anniversary edition of Intruder. And I mean, I don't know. There's not too much that I really have to say about this movie. It's fucking amazing.
So that's a DVD, right?
Yeah, it's just the DVD. Easily in my top like 3 non-franchise slasher films, you know. It's just a good time. Oh no, you like Intruder, Dustin?
I often call Intruder the best slasher.
It's one of the best.
So it is. It's probably. How do I phrase this? I think it's probably the best that kind of movie got during that cycle in the 80s, like during that time period. It's sort of because it came out at the very end of that cycle. Like it's from 1989, 1990, like kind of the very end of the 80s slasher era. And it seems to kind of take lessons from all of them in terms of, you know, what it shows you, like the gore, like the over-the-topness of the kills. Like
the simplicity of the plot. I mean, it is very much just a rental movie, you know?
Like, it feels like it draws from what works from the entire genre.
Yeah,
and
it's in its own little simple way. It's a fucking masterpiece, you know?
It is. It really is.
Like, top 3 non-franchise slasher movies for me. And I don't count Black Christmas because, like, a lot of people quote it as being, like, one of those progenitor type slasher movies. Yes, it is, but it's not what we're talking about here. Top 3 non-franchise slasher movies for anybody listening who cares would be Intruder, okay, My Bloody Valentine, The Toolbox Murders.
I have yet to see the original Toolbox Murders. Somehow.
Oh man, I don't want to oversell you on it, but definitely check it out. It's amazing. Remake wasn't bad. I mean, it pales. Well, I wouldn't say it pales. It's not the same type of movie at all of the first one. It just kind of borrows like a general apartment complex setting from it and the drill kill. And then other than that, it's like its own movie. And I do like the movie that it is, but it's not Toolbox Murders, obviously. Like when you watch the original, you'll be like, what? How did they remake this shit from that, you know?
Well, I did like the remake, which I did see.
Yeah.
I did see the remake and the sequel to the remake. The sequel to the remake I didn't like very much, but I thought the remake itself was fine. It's strange, actually. So Shout Factory put Toolbox Murders 2 out on Blu-ray, but not Toolbox Murders 1. That's only on DVD for some reason.
Yeah, I think Blue Underground.
What are we trying to?
Oh, that's the full moon lighters. I'm not sure if you can see them.
Yeah, dude, I see them. That middle one, that space bong. That's like my favorite bong in the series. If I could get like a workable replica of that, I think it would be the only thing I'd ever smoke weed out of again.
Here they are.
Yeah, they're selling those again. Usually they're out of stock, so I think it's new old stock. Like what's left is just what's left.
I just thought it was cool to get that get them with the
Oh,
Psycho
for sure, dude.
and Evil Bong 666.
No, for sure. That's fucking rad. I mean, I wanted to buy all of them in the ashtray, but like I said, I think it's new old stock. So what's left is what's left. Like, I was waiting for them to come back in stock, but it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. But you never know. I didn't think Killjoy's Psycho Circus was going to come back into stock, and then almost an entire year later, it finally did. So you never know. And again, like all of these politically incorrect statues back there, I didn't think they were ever going to sell again. So I'd kind of given up hope on adding them to the collection, and then all of a sudden they sold a bunch of them without Ooga Booga. But I think that's just a sign it was new old stock. And when you see my video that I did, eventually you'll know what I'm talking about too. Like, you can tell on the packaging it was in a pallet somewhere for like 10 years, and then they decided to sell it off when they found it. Anyways, last two pickups I have here as far as individual movies go are pretty solid. Both like brand new releases from Full Moon. I think they both have 2021 as the release date, even though one of them for sure came out in like 1976. But before we get into that, Dave, do you have like a favorite film in your Full Moon collection?
I would have.
Let's refine this. Do you have a favorite recent?
I would have to say my favorite
that
film
you've had?
in the Full Moon collection is Vampire Journals.
Well, yeah, we covered that in the Fan Fest.
I know we covered that, but
yeah, my bad, dude.
If I had to choose a favorite,
like, what's your favorite Full Moon movie you've seen for the first time in the last year?
I would have to say Don't Let Her In.
It was
so
fucking
far
great. See, that's one I think. Yeah, that's one I think Dustin would like as well. It's not a huge movie. It's definitely a pandemic horror film because it was.
I still have to sit down and watch a lot of. I still have to sit down and watch a lot of the stuff that I've picked up, but I'll definitely
watched a few though. I was surprised you'd seen our next one here, which is The Resonator, Miskatonic U. This is
that
I had to buy physical.
That was one of the ones that Tammy chose to watch out of the new movies.
Oh, so Tammy's seen it?
Yep.
It's fucking great, isn't it?
Many films.
It really is. It's fucking great. I absolutely love this. If slightly better effects, it could have been a Netflix series, We already talked at length about what that is, but for your benefit, Dustin, it's basically a reimagining of not the Resonator.
From Beyond.
From Beyond, yeah, and then at the end they tie it into Reanimator. So like the next
I know where the Resonator is from.
There you go. I think the Resonator is the name of like one of the original versions of the story, isn't it?
Possibly. I know it's just the device in From Beyond.
Yeah,
that's what
Crawford Tillinghast is like the main character of this movie, and then the next they're doing two more. So the next one, obviously, they did the Marvel ending where they brought in Herbert West at the end. So the next one's going to be him and Herbert West getting into some shit.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be one for you to check out, Dustin, if you were to get into it at any time recently.
Yeah, you don't have to be like a Full Moon fan to dig that shit. It's again like with slightly better effects. I feel like it could have been released on Netflix and no one would have batted an eye.
One of the worst.
Slightly better is giving them too much credit. Vastly better effects.
One of the worst.
Effects work though. Yeah.
One of the worst of them. One of the worst Full Moon ones was Hotel Casino.
I've not gotten into the haunted casino or the
or the
Raven
haunted casino.
Loft Towers or whatever the hotel one is.
I haven't even checked out that yet, and yet I have like the Kickstarter DVDs or the Indiegogo DVDs
Yeah,
of the Raven whatever towers.
I'm gonna get them eventually. It's just I don't have high hopes for it, but that seems to be where they were figuring out what they would eventually do with shit like
Well,
the Resonator. So
the reason why I say worst is because I remember watching Encyclopedia Brown, the television series back in the day, and the plot from there was the plot from Haunted Casino.
oh, dude, but Charles Band would be the first person to probably tell you that. You know, I mean, it's all the time. He's like, "Yeah, this is just us trying to do this because we like it." You know, they do it all the time. So yeah, that's not surprising, but definitely looks like it had potential. At least the Ravenloft Towers thing. Haunted Casino just sounded dumb.
Well, it just ended up having a plot where the treasure was hidden behind a certain place, and it wasn't an original concept, and I guess
Oh,
it had some
obviously
creepy
not.
vibes, but it definitely could have been better.
You know what's an original concept though that Charlie had several years before a movie that made it much more famous is the, haunted lady car killing a
That was
bunch of
his
people.
first.
And yeah, this was like his first film and it actually kind of kicks ass in a weird surreal in the way only a fucking movie like this from the 70s can.
I would like
It's
to see his. I've seen it on his IMDb profile. The Alchemist come to light.
yes, we need to get that back in. This is remastered and uncut now, so if you get this version of Crash eventually, Dave, I'd wait for a sale or whatever. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
going out of stock anytime soon, but it's remastered and uncut. Looks beautiful. It's got some special features on there. Audio
I know I've
commentary
got.
with Charles Band and Dave Dakota, and then you have Speed Demon, a Crash documentary, vintage trailers, rare carradine clips, which just means him mumbling his dentures out of his face, and some full moon trailers. What were you gonna say, Dave? Sorry.
I know I've got Laser Blast, the remaster. I ended up getting that from Brad Twigg.
Looks brilliant, doesn't it? I mean, have you watched that DVD yet?
No, not yet. No,
Oh,
like I
man.
said, I still have to do like a crash course on some of those. I like watching like movies like 2 or 3 times before I even get reviews out on them. So
No, I feel that. That I tend to usually average about 2 viewings on a full moon movie before I even review it. But like, I'm just trying to get an idea of what remasters you've seen because so far the only one that has shitty fucking video quality is Subspecies, and that's because that first Subspecies was remastered back when our TVs we have now don't even exist. So it was like remastered for widescreen tube TVs. It looks great on my Wiga, but it doesn't look fucking good when I like put it on an actual flat screen. Other than that, though, their remasters are dope. Subspecies definitely deserves a DVD release of the like remaster they did for the Blu-ray, basically.
yeah, because didn't they do like the Subspecies 1, 2, and 3 on a Blu-ray, and they didn't put 4 on it or something like that?
4's still an unfound master, apparently. So we're waiting on that. Like, even the best best version you can get is just the DVD version, where it's still like 4:3 cropped, for like a tube TV VHS master. It's a real clean one, but it's a VHS master. Because it was
Basically,
straight to video back then, dude. So like when Full Moon shot all their movies in like proper aspect ratio with dope film and everything, but then they would immediately strike that master into a VHS master, And then because I guess that's the one that they would use to distribute stuff most commonly, those were the ones they kept the best track of, you know. So like Dragon World, for example, which you have your beautiful remastered edition DVD
Yeah,
of,
I'm
and
gonna have to unearth my Dragon World number two to just pummel those two out in one.
like stuff like that, or our copy of Crash here, our final pickup. It, you know, those are the movies that are lucky enough to have they kept track of those masters, you know, but they do find them. Dragon World was one that was recently like found, you know. I thought that was bullshit at first too, but it's like with stuff like Subspecies 4, you know, they would release that and do a whole Subspecies box set if they could, but they just can't. Which is weird, but you know, intriguing at the same time. My heart aches though as a collector because goddamn what I love like a coffin set for the Subspecies movies to go along with that you know, Puppet Master Toulon trunk. How dope would that be, Dave, if they sent us like a little granite crypt or something that housed all the Subspecies movies?
Hell yeah! I would love that.
Oh, we would buy it day one, I think. As would a lot of people that aren't Full Moon collectors, because that's one of their series that a lot of people.
Okay, this is what the second movie, The Dragon World, is called. It's called Dragon World: The Legend Continues.
Well, there you go. It still sounds like ass. I mean, I read about it, you know.
It was originally released on VHS in North America as Shadow of the Night.
Yeah. I remember reading that and being like, what the hell? Then what does this even have to do with Dragon World? Is it like actually related to Full Moon in that production, or did they just sell it as that?
Well, it was directed by Ted Nicolau.
Okay, then it's Full Moon proper. That's wow. Yeah.
Like I said, when I first came across it, it was like a rarity. And looking around for a copy of Dragon World itself was like hell in a handbasket. So when I
it was
on DVD,
not a thing, dude. I mean, they didn't. You know, I don't even know if they ever had like a DVD release of Dragon World. That might have been in that same boat I was talking about with Beanstalk, where like, you know, Full Moon only ever put it out on VHS. And then for all these years, like, unless you found it somewhere to stream, the only way you were watching it is if you had a VHS copy of it, you know. And that's kind of still what's going on with shit like Prehysteria 2 and 3.
I think
I've always wondered that because I've been wanting those movies for a while.
The St. Francisville Experiment is another one that's related to the Full Moon stuff. That was a found on footage film, and I do believe it was directed by David Dakota.
Yeah. It's just like David Schmoller. A lot of people say
that's
like,
another one of my favorites.
David Schmoller. A lot of people mispronounce his name too, but it's just Schmoller or Dakota. Dakota.
Well,
he's gay as hell too, so that's funny. Decock. I'm sure he might have like considered changing it recently. Dave's a funny guy, you know.
But yeah, that one is on my favorite list. Now, are there any Full Moon features that you're still looking for?
Not really in terms of the classic stuff. I mean, okay, that's something we haven't touched on yet. Is with this haul, my collection hit a proper milestone. Like I went from 116 Full Moon films in the collection to 156. So I'm over the 150 mark. When you consider that a lot of the movies on their numbered list are like way out of print shit they don't even distribute. If we're looking at just the stuff Full Moon actually releases and keeps in print themselves, I'm well over the halfway mark of like having everything I could possibly buy in terms of like a single DVD on the Full Moon website. So that's
Yeah.
pretty exciting in and of itself.
I'm waiting until they actually have another like half-season sale, like the BOGO sale thing that they had just recently.
Yeah, because I'm at that point, dude, where the only stuff I really need to buy from them still is all like either obvious shit that I just need to check off the list. Not obvious shit like obvious, but I'm talking about obviously being shitty. And then stuff that is like their
Some of
softcore
that
sleazy,
European
like
sleaze
Euro
stuff.
sleaze stuff, you know?
Yeah, the European sleaze stuff looks pretty interesting. Like,
Well, for you, that would be definitely your most lucrative end of their library, dude, because between that and like all the softcore stuff that they release, you've got lots of fun stuff that you can collect. But for somebody like me that, you know, yeah, I collect like exploitation movies and stuff. I mean, the Jess Franco set from them was one of the first things that I bought. But obviously I was prioritizing the actual Full Moon movies. Now I'm kind of hitting the back end of the library, so I have to start checking stuff off the list.
I was prioritizing when I got the Dragon World remote. Those needed to come hither to me at least, so that I can complete the Dragon World thing.
I'll get them. I mean, they're freshly printed, so they'll be in when I get my replicas next month. The main reason I made the order I did like today was because a couple of the soundtracks that I wanted to get sold out, and I was like, oh shit, so people are actually buying these, you know. So I went ahead and bought every one, and then I was
Dustin,
like, well,
have you ever seen any of the Full Moon films over time, or just randomly?
I've seen a handful of them here and there, but not a lot of them.
Okay. What ones stand out in your mind of the ones that you've seen? You know,
does Dolls count?
Yeah,
Dolls definitely counts. Trolls and Trolls 2, if you've seen them.
I saw Troll. I didn't know Troll was a Full Moon feature.
Troll was an Empire. Yeah, same thing as Dolls, Trancers, you know, From Beyond, Robo Jocks.
In fact, you missed it earlier. I was
Dungeon Master, The Alchemist,
the free gift
Rawhead
that
Rex
I got
was a
my remote
Empire
in
movie.
Dragon World. They sent me a.
I'm flabbergasted by that. Troll. Let's put you on the big thing again so you can show that. And see, the thing is, I get free gifts from Full Moon all the time, and they've recently switched to that sticker too. Unless that's an old sticker that you're getting because it's old stock. Because that DVD is not available through them. It hasn't been for years. The one he has is clearly brand new, so it came out of like a pallet they found. You know?
So it's like, why do they have that kind of thing?
Exactly. Yeah. And I fucking dude, I got teabagged with it. I got another copy of The Creeps, which they've sent me twice now. And then like one of their anthology films, and Dave gets Troll on like a second order film.
Well, I used to get something called Box of Dread from Dread Central, and one month that everybody got a movie from Full Moon, and my movie was some Moonbeam thing called Mysterious Museum, and it's like, this isn't a horror movie, guys. I'm a little confused.
That is fucked up, but I would like to have that Mysterious Museum because it is a pretty decent little movie, actually.
I don't know if I still have it. I'll have to look.
I'd buy it if you did. I don't know, man. I mean, like, what else did you see from Full Moon?
Well, I've seen all the Prehisterias and Remote.
You enjoy those, I would imagine.
Oh, of course, yeah.
That's Moonbeam, but it's all Full Moon. I mean,
it's technically the same thing. Let's be real.
Yeah, it's just them doing different flavors of shit.
They really do need to put out Prehysteria 2 and 3 on like a Blu-ray DVD thing, like they did the first one.
Really, dude, the only ones that they have on Blu-ray so far, other than Dragon World now and Remote, which is dope, is Pet Shop and the first Prehysteria. Everything else from Moonbeam you have to get on DVD, or if they don't have it, then you have to get it on VHS because Full Moon never did DVDs for them.
I ended up getting Pet Shop and Prehysteria from Brad Twigg when he had them, which I was fine with them not having the what is it, the covers for them, but
Dude,
it is what it is.
lots of people got that remote and Dragon World thing. Like even people that I know just through horror groups outside of Full Moon stuff. So
Well, if not for their,
I hope that it shows them that they need to really get on Blu-ray and that Moonbeam back catalog, because dude, how sick would that be to have like a box set of the Prehysteria movies with little mini figures of each of the dinosaurs or something like that.
Especially since like the Evil Bong box set thing, so.
Telling you, man, that Prehysteria one would be a big seller. I think Dustin would probably grab it if there was.
Oh yeah, I'd get that.
And knowing Full Moon, they'd probably sell it for like $15 over. No, they'd probably sell it for like $15 to $20 over what you'd prefer to pay for it, but not enough over what you are willing to pay for it. They're usually good about that.
I could see them selling it for roughly like $70 to $80.
If it came with those minifigures, I would give them $100 for it right now. Just make me minifigures of the same quality of the Blade and the Jester and the Mr. fucking Slauson from Tourist Trap.
They need to make some minifigures of some of the subspecies characters. Like
they need to finish the fucking Puppet Master line, Dave, so that I can have both cubbies on my goddamn trunk packed. That's what they need to do. But then you are exactly right. The minions from subspecies have weirdly the subspecies themselves. That's what the subspecies is those little red dudes.
Yeah,
they've never had an action figure, dude.
No, they didn't, and they need to.
Somehow Radu. I mean, I get it. He's the main vampire, but still, like, how does Radu not come with like 4 or 5 little tiny minifigures of those dudes?
Yeah, Vampire Eternals. I ended up buying it for my sister one year, and I ended up like buying the subspecies box set later and realizing that Vampire Eternals was part of the box set. So I was overjoyed that it was part of it. Because
I bet.
It's such a random story. It's like a Phantom of the Opera kind of story mixed with vampires, So
if we ever do, well, we're definitely going to do joint reviews of these, and you definitely got to come on for at least Vampire Journals and that subspecies series of.
Well, I'd definitely like to go on for Dragon World and Dragon World: The Legend Continues. Since I
least
have a copy of it, I can definitely see if I can digitalize it and send it over to you so that you can at least watch it or whatnot.
Yeah, I'll check it out, especially if we're gonna do like a review for Dragon World and mention it. But I don't know, man. I think since we got Dustin here, we would be, missing an opportunity if we didn't give him some Full Moon recommendations. I think we've got a decent idea of the handful of Full Moon movies that he's seen. But what are some that you think that he should see that he maybe hasn't? One that I'll start out with that I'm surprised wasn't mentioned, that I'm sure he probably maybe has seen, is Castle Freak.
Yeah.
I second that episode of Joe Bob.
I honestly second the remake too. It's not that bad.
I haven't seen the remake yet, but
I did I missed the remake, but I did see that episode. That's right. I have seen Castle Freak.
Castle Freak rules, dude. It's Stuart Gordon, Barbara Crampton, Jeffrey Combs. Just
Melissa Rose wasn't that, right?
I don't think so. Maybe in the remake.
Maybe I was thinking of Barbara Crampton.
Dude, it's dope. I mean, Castle Freak is one of the best horror films I've ever seen.
I know that.
I remember they did it on the last drive-in with Joe Bob, and I think maybe Phyllis Rose was the guest that night, and that's why I'm remembering it a little bit incorrectly.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would wonder what she would think of something like Castle Freak. I bet you she'd dig it.
One that I suggest that you see is Parasite. I know that you would probably seriously think it was an Alien ripoff, which it
I
was.
actually do have that. I just haven't seen it yet. It's on my shelf.
You should see it.
Yeah,
At
that's
least.
technically a full moon movie, dude. I mean, if you really want to think about it like that. Because Charlie Band isn't the only creative. I mean, the whole Charlie Band Productions thing kind of spun into Empire, which spun into Full Moon. So it's a lot of the same people, or almost all of the same people, for a lot of stuff for years and years and years. You know, so it's just all movies by that same camp of
Well, and
filmmakers.
it's surprising how much is connected back to Full Moon. You know, because Shadow Releasing was something that I think that was part of it. Moonbeam, the
Well, if
Surrender.
you want to go further back than that, Meta Home Entertainment, which later became Media Home Entertainment, released a ton of fucking shit on home video. Those media tapes are still sought after by like horror collectors for VHS because Charlie Band released so many fucking awesome movies under that label back then. He was the first person to release Texas Chainsaw Massacre on home video. You know,
Ooh.
and people kind of maybe look at the other history of that film and put more attention on it, deservedly so. But when you look at like the proliferation of that film, it wouldn't have happened without like rental stores and home video, and without Charlie putting it on home video to be in those rental stores, you know. And that's not even close to being the only classic of like the Grindhouse drive-in eras that Charlie was the first person to distribute or publish on home video. Because once he saw Texas Chainsaw and stuff like that did well, he went out and did what any good movie producer or whatever does and starts buying up rights to every low rent slasher exploitation flick type thing that you could find.
Which
And
is
that's
why
why,
Intruder,
you know,
which is why he's got Intruder on his catalog, because at one point in time he had a work print, you know.
oh,
So
dude, those guys are still definitely like intimately connected to Full Moon and Charlie Band. But when you just look back at shit like that, I think that was in the Wizard Video era because media got too big, and he was just doing it as a hobby because Charles Band himself was a VHS collector, like in the early mid '80s when VHS tapes cost a lot. I don't know if you're familiar with that, Dustin, but
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'm aware.
it used to be
They
a
used to be
lot.
like $90 a tape or
Yeah,
something.
if you were getting one for 50 or 60, you were getting a deal, you know.
Mhm.
And that's in like 1983 money, dude. So, you know, he was obviously doing well with Empire and those films and collecting VHS, and that's why he was doing Meta. But then it got too big, and you know they turned it into media, and he sold it. And then he started Wizard Home Video, which released like even sleazier, more
Yeah,
obscure
cheaper
like
budget.
movies. Yeah. All the stuff we have on like the Grindhouse collection from Full Moon is shit they distributed on Wizard back in the
Yeah,
day.
and a lot of those are trailers, trailer mixes.
No,
With
there's 5 of them. There's a total of 18 films in Full Moon's Grindhouse collection currently, like the labeled collection. And then there is 5 compilation or trailer thons, you know, which were an important part of film history, dude.
True.
You know, we take them for granted now, but those tapes, like, you know, Mad Ron's
Yeah,
Trailers from Hell or whatever, that's how you found out about horror movies
I
back in the
thought
day.
Badass Motherfuckers was a blaxploitation film that was in the
I
Grindhouse
was
thing.
hoping that it was, but yeah,
Turns
they
out
just
that
did a
it was
trailer thon.
a trailer mix. And
Yeah.
then Blood of a Thousand Virgins. I thought that was like an older movie. It turns out that was a 70s.
If you read them, they're clear about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just you could be forgiven for seeing the title and thinking, "Damn, that looks cool. I'll just buy it," you know. And then like getting it and being like, oh shit. But yeah, Blood of a Thousand Virgins, Badass Motherfuckers, Nazi Thon, and Women
and
Behind Bars.
there was something zombie
Or
something.
Babes Behind Bars, excuse me.
Yeah,
Those are those are the four that they did as original ones, and like the whenever grindhouseflix.com was a thing. So those were all done as original trailer-thons for the website, kind of in the spirit of shit like Film Gore or
yeah.
Zombie Thon, or those ones that were hosted by people like Elvira and David or John Carradine or
And I
whatever.
think Netherworld was one of the Grindhouse ones for a little bit.
Nah, Netherworld's like 94 full moon peak, like them in video
Because
stores. That's
my copy is on one of those Mill Creek 8 film sets.
yeah, weirdly, Netherworld is on those. If I was full moon, I would hold a lot tighter to that whole thing because Netherworld's one of their best movies. Netherworld might be pound for pound the best full moon movie ever made. No joke. Like it does when you watch it, it doesn't feel like you're even watching a full moon movie, and that's coming from one of the most diehard fans ever.
It's definitely an oddity. I would definitely recommend that one for Dustin to see if
Netherworld's dude, Netherworld's right top of the fucking bunch for Dustin. It's like if they did Phantasm with like glorious Dario Argento inspired like jazz horror. I don't know what you would even call Netherworld, dude. The only part where the movie falls apart is like at that last. I don't want to ruin it. We'll talk about it once you've seen it. There is, but I mean, it comes at like literally the very end of your entire experience, and it's just one of those things where you're gonna be like, "Oh, that was stupid," but that movie ruled,
I mean, Full Moon is just as mixed bagged as Trauma is, with many of their films. But if you like certain films with different budgets, Full Moon has its charm. I mean, it's
yeah. Full Moon went for the Trauma went for the let's just do it and make it fun and gross and silly.
Let's just make anything.
Full
gross.
Moon back at least like pre 1999. Full Moon was low budget, but they did the absolute best they could to make it feel like you were watching a big budget horror movie. So you watch something like Castle Freak, or you watch something like, even Demonic Toys, it feels like they were going as hard as they possibly could to that end for the type of horror movie that it is,
Oh, yeah.
You watch something like Dark Angel, or, just any of those fucking films from really the early 90s, the Subspecies movies and stuff, like, they were masters of being like, okay, we can't get this type of production like quality in the States, so what should we do? The Iron Curtain just fell in Europe, so let's go to Romania. I mean, they really did pioneer making films in Romania. And then in the Empire days, they really did pioneer being like American people making films in Italy. So that's one thing Charles has always had for him, was the foresight to be like, you know what? We can't make these movies at this budget and make them seem grand and awesome doing it in the States. So let's go to Romania, where we can do it on the cheap and employ a bunch of local people to make it feel authentic. And then you get a movie like Subspecies that feels like it was shot in the middle of like the gothic fucking forest, when really it's just like the outskirts.
He's definitely had a repertoire at finding some decent locations. Like another movie that I would suggest you seek out of Full Moon is Meridian.
Yeah, Meridian's insane.
Meridian is...
It's like a fucked up Beauty and the Beast story.
Yeah. And I would put it on the Beauty and the Beast spectrum almost, with
Oh
a
yeah,
little bit of sideshow. But
you got Phil Fondacaro in there as like the little.
well, and we looked it up, the castle in the place, and the statues in the place
That's
were
all
real.
real. Yeah,
So
it's beautiful. Floridian's one of the most beautiful, like, gothic sort of
it's a romantic fairy.
romance horror fantasy things that I've ever seen. I mean, that's the thing with Full Moon. Okay, if you're looking at just stuff Charles does himself, like, yeah, some of that stuff's pretty bunk or just kind of cheesy, but a lot of it's fun when you watch it in the right like
Headspace.
context. Yeah,
Yep.
but the people that he employed to make movies around him were always far superior, and he's a producer at heart. I mean, he would tell you that himself. So his movies aren't necessarily supposed to be the best ones. Something like Bad Channels is one of the best rock and roll sci-fi. I mean, that's like right there with Rocky Horror Picture Show to me. On the scale of being like an awesome like rock sort of weird musical it's hard to explain what Bad Channels is.
And
just
you
have
can
to
tell
watch it.
that you can tell that he was influenced by a lot of horror films. I mean, Ginger Dead Man was directly influenced by Silence of the Lambs. I mean, you can you cannot.
He's influenced in that way that like your classic B movie producer is influenced in that stuff, which is he'll throw it in there and make like a joke about it, or just smoke weed. I don't know. Charles has some fun sensibilities, but like Bad Channels is a Ted Nicolau movie. It's basically him redoing Terror Vision that they did
That's
for.
what I haven't seen yet, but I have it.
Yeah, I mean, so
Vision's pretty cool.
Terror Vision's fucking awesome. That's another great Empire movie. Narrowly beat by Robot Jocks on nostalgia purposes for being
What about
like the
Horror
third movie.
Vision? Or was it Horror Vision?
Horror Vision is ass, but it's fun. It's the fun type of ass, That's a Danny Draven one too, so you can understand why I'm skeptical about Real Evil. I don't know, Dave. You got any other recommendations for him?
Other than Meridian, I mean, the thing is, it's all mixed bag. It depends on what you like. I mean, if you like the Puppet Master or stuff,
Yeah, you got no shortage of that.
The only Puppet Master I've seen is the newest one from 2018, and I didn't really like that very much.
That's not even Full Moon.
That's not even. See,
Yeah.
you've got to see.
That was the dudes who did Bone Tomahawk and like Dragged Across Concrete doing Puppet Master.
You've got to see up until.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
You've got to watch everything up until till Legacy, because Legacy was pretty much a flashback film of everything before. Like, honestly, if you really wanted to, you could take Legacy and then watch it like forward from that, technically, because that one they did a wraparound where there were some thieves going into a house, and they found the serum, and they just went through like everything that the Puppet Master had done since the beginning, and then they did like the retro Puppet Master and the Curse of, but in order to get the full Puppet Master experience, I would at least watch at least the first three, and see what you get out of them. That is the tip of the iceberg as far as that. And then I would say watch the Axis trilogy too.
Yeah, dude, with Puppet Master, I don't know why I swapped you back right before I started talking. With Puppet Master, you really gotta just. Okay, how do I put this? As much love as I have for the franchise and for the middle portion of it sucks. It's abysmal, dude. No, you got to watch part 4 for sure, and then part 5 and 6 are like optional, but I would say watch at least 5 and then watch 6 to see what they could do with it on a low budget, because 6 is a lot of fun. Curse
Are you
the
talking
Puppet
about
Master.
Legacy?
No, Legacy doesn't come till after. Then we got Retro Puppet Master and Legacy, which are both fucking embarrassing and probably best left. I mean, if you really want to see the dude from The Room play the main character in a Puppet Master movie, then you can go ahead and watch Retro Puppet Master if you want. You're better off just looking at pictures of the puppets, because some of the designs are cool, but the movie itself is fucking miserable. And then Puppet Master The Legacy is just a clip show. It's a clip show it's the only time that Full Moon is guilty of what a lot of people accuse them of a lot of the time, but it's inaccurate. That is 100% like just a clip show of the Puppet Master movies, with the dude who plays the angry grandpa in the Evil Bong movies being like the kid or whatever that's making the puppets. So that's kind of neat, but other than that, it's fucking also miserable. And then you get to the Access trilogy where it gets good again. Not good like on early 90s Full Moon standards, but good on like this is fun killer doll movie shit.
Well, and you get some newer puppets from the Nazi era, and it's cool of its own vibe.
Yeah,
So,
we got the werewolf, we got Bombshell, who has like guns for tits. We got Kamikaze, who a lot of people take issue with because he is like, you know, a World War II propaganda inspired like caricature of Asian people or Japanese people specifically as kamikaze pilots. But looks like we got Septum Sin back up in here.
Yeah. I've seen all of them except for the last ones, because so I've enjoyed most of the Puppet Master. So the first one is the classic. You gotta see the first one.
Yeah. 2 is great, but 2 also kind of eventually gets sort of retconned.
Are you still wanting? Are you still wanting people to bring in some Full Moon stuff?
Yeah, that's why we switched over to you there, bud. You got some stuff you want to show?
I'm gonna run downstairs and grab some, but I wanted to come back on to say, hey, I'm up.
Nice.
Well, I've pretty much shown everything that I have, like that I can just dig up on hand. Most of what
I think we showed a lot of cool stuff.
Most of what I've had to show was just anything I could grab that I knew was Full Moon.
Yeah, I think like I said, I think we went through some cool stuff. I don't know. I think we're giving Dustin though definitely mixed. You got to watch at least the first 5 Puppet Masters. 6 is optional, but it is still fun. You know, 7 and 8 are ass, and then after that it gets good again. But really, I think their most consistent series is Subspecies.
Oh yeah, and the reason why I mentioned Vampire Journals is it's a side story of the Subspecies thing, and it was just a random thing I came across. I like it.
Oh, yeah, love it. It's one of the best like covers in Full Moon history too. That weird book.
That's right.
I think
remember.
Dustin would really love those. I mean, I think with okay, how do I put this? I think shush up, dude. What's your problem?
I just love how this broadcast is complete chaos.
It has turned into that, but we got through the main shit. So
yeah, we did.
I think with like Puppet Master, it's a mixed bag. I think with Subspecies, it's basically solid. I think with Trancers, it's basically solid if you ignore the 6th one. So yeah, all their franchise stuff is pretty much worth checking out as far as the older shit. I mean, Evil Bong and stuff like that, or Ginger Dead Man, whether or not you like super camp, sort of just fun romps like that, would determine whether you'd even bother with those. But as far as like quality horror sci-fi in the case of Trancers. Yeah, you can't really go wrong with those early franchises. And then I think something like Dark Angel: The Ascent is something Dustin would really get a kick out of. You know,
I think he might.
that's one of the best full moon movies they've ever done, and that's one that unfortunately I didn't know about as a kid either. So that's like a recent discovery for me. And then just of course like the classic older stuff they've done, like The Day the Time Ended.
So did you
That's
pick
such
up a copy of Remote, Dustin?
I did not actually. So I'm kind of very low on money, and I didn't really get the opportunity to. I haven't actually come across it yet anywhere.
It's on Full Moon's website.
Yeah, you can get that in a copy of Dragon World for a reduced price.
Yep.
Both amazing.
Man, why is everybody coughing so hard? Are you guys okay?
I just took a fat hit of weed. I don't know what Dave's issue is.
My issue is I still have a copy that I haven't gotten a hold of. That's the DVD copy, but they are selling a Blu-ray remaster of it. So
Yep,
from
that and Dragon World
Halloween
both have
thing.
both got the Blu-ray treatment and the remastered DVD treatment. So Septum Sin is here, and he's going to show us some of his full moon stuff.
That's one that I have been hemming and hawing on whether I want it or not. It looks pretty sweet.
God damn, actually, now that I see that in person, or more or less, I do kind of want it.
Yeah.
They need better product photos of their stuff.
It is pretty
For
sweet
sure.
looking.
They need to hire like my brother because, dude, Brandon just made that look way sweeter than it looks on their website. So,
Brandon, I hate you. But I love you too.
that's a nice set.
It
really is.
Makes me want to think of getting it when they actually do another one of those buy one get one sales.
Yeah,
They actually
next
had it
sale.
for like $60.
Nice. I have the DVD
I have that on
version
hold
of
with
that.
someone.
Have you guys watched it yet?
I have not watched that one yet. I know I've got it on hold. I've got that one. I've got the DVD copy.
You know you're muted, right, Brandon?
Wow,
I was
people.
going to say I never saw Ouija's, but my name is actually on this one, which was cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think my
nice.
name's on that one too.
And I think my name is
that,
on
I mean,
this
I can
one
send
as
you my
well.
copy and get it signed there, Brandon.
Yeah,
I don't
my
think
name's on that
anybody's a contributor, but it's under Septum Sen under my.
I don't give a shit.
Of course, High Five. I admit, I think that any of the Evil Bong movies after 3 are kind of throwaway, but they're amusing in their own way.
I
can imagine-
disagree, but I can see why you would think that.
Okay, I think those movies would be really awesome if I was high while watching them. And Ginger Dead Man versus Evil Bong. I love the Ginger Dead Man movies. Got Evil Bong 3.
So I guess he would definitely recommend the Ginger Dead movies.
To Dustin, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not to Dustin, but I think that actually to Dustin, I would only recommend the first Evil Bong just because it's a classic. It is
great.
I mean, it's got Tommy Chong in it, for goodness sakes. It's I mean, it's not the best. It's kind of basic stoner humor, but it's still a decent enough abstract film. I mean,
let me just say, Brandon, that beard you're growing is fucking awesome. Okay. I like it.
I appreciate it.
So is that all that you picked up recently?
No, I mean, I've got a couple of things that I've got on the list. I only have one that's been recent pickup because a lot of stuff is buried. But on oldies, This was selling for 97 cents.
There you go. That's about what it's worth.
Yeah, I went ahead and put it back in my collection.
You guys want to see my review of that? It's up there.
I
It's fun.
agree with you. It's not a. It's worth 97 cents.
Yeah. If I'd paid that for it, I'd actually be a lot more stoked on the movie.
But I mean, I had a group of friends when I was in early college. They actually named their band after I think after this film. Yeah. Around 2001, 2002. So this was after this film was made. So yeah, they named their band after this movie, Dead Hate the Living.
And it's interesting to note that the band the Penis Flytraps did several songs for the Dead Hate the Living, and it's actually made by the dude who made most of the video zones that we loved. Like that was his job, was to edit the video zones. And I think it was Dave Dakota who was talking to him, and he was like, yo, I kind of want to make a movie one of these days. And Dave kind of talked to Charles, obviously, and got this dude. I'm not sure what they gave him for the Dead Hate the Living. I feel like it was the amount of money that was in the merch booth at that time or something at a convention. And he was just like, all right, I can work with that. But to be fair, they do have, the dude from like House of a Thousand Corpses in there long before he was in that movie. Tiny, you guys might recognize him from
Berryman, I think.
Dude, that big fucking weird mongoloid dude that's in House of a Thousand Corpses.
I thought that was Michael Berryman. Yeah.
No,
or am I thinking of somebody else?
Michael Berryman's the dude from the dude from The Hills Have Eyes. He just has a lumpy bald head and weird ears. The Tiny from House of a Thousand Corpses is that big, like tall, like giant.
I know who he is. Yeah. I just am apparently completely blanking on the actor's name. God damn.
I can't remember his name either, but he's in the Dead Hate the Living, and he probably has one of his best moments in any horror movie ever. In that he kills a dude with like a fire axe, if I remember right, and then he gets fed out the window to zombies. It's pretty great.
Wow.
It's actually one of the only great moments in the movie. The rest of it's just Spirit Halloween Rob Zombie telling everybody that they're gonna be dead or something.
Now I know I got one that you'd be psyched about.
What's that?
Which is Doll Man.
Oh, of course.
I mean, that's one I had to pick up a while back because it's a classic. I enjoyed it when I was young, and I wanted to watch it again because, it was really cool when I watched it the first time. I remember he had that really small, but he had that gun would still blow the crap out of you even if you were small. And then of course I had to get these, and I had that other one, that channel, was it Bad Channels or something like that goes with that as well?
Yep, and Hideous if you're gonna watch Demonic Toys too.
Yeah. So
there's really no main bad guy in Hideous, but one of the main characters in Hideous is as a main character in Demonic Toys too, and it makes a ton more sense once you've seen Hideous. So at least watch it before you watch those, but you should buy it also because it's a gem in Full Moon's late 90s.
Oh yeah, it was picked up on your recommendation, I think, and then so I have all of them. So from Doll Man to Demonic Toys 2 with the Demonic Toys versus Doll Man and Bad Channels, what order should I watch them in?
Well, you want to do obviously Demonic Toys first. Doll Man you can do whenever the fuck you want. And then really after that, it's Bad Channels kind of comes before Doll Man versus Demonic Toys. Like you have to watch that before you watch Doll Man versus Demonic Toys, or it's just going to feel like a weird insert that you have no context for.
Yeah, there are a lot of movies.
All the other ones, like all the other ones could be watched as their own movies, dude. You can watch Bad Channels as its own movie, and if you don't watch the post credits Marvel scene that they do for fucking Doll Man,
Well, that
long
makes
before
sense.
Marvel ever did that shit, then you could just really just watch Bad Channels as its own movie and never think twice about it. You know, same thing with Doll Man or Demonic Toys. It's
I think
Doll Man
should.
versus Demonic Toys, where you're gonna be like, this all doesn't make any sense because I haven't seen the other movies. You know?
I will say, I think Doll Man got a bad rap as far as things goes because he should have gotten more movies. I would have loved to have seen like a Doll Man versus, basically just Doll Man versus all throughout the universe of Full Moon. So you got like he could do just various battles with all of them. Like he could go versus the Puppet Master versus
Oh yeah,
all those.
and obviously he would be like teaming up with certain ones when it suited
I
him
could
or
see him
whatever.
teaming up with Barbie and Kendra.
But really, dude, the thing
Guy from
is, Full
Trancers.
Moon made their own Avengers basically because they made Doll Man, right? And then they had Mandroid, who was like this dude who can in a wheelchair who controlled the suit of armor from a distance, you know. And then with that, they also made Benjamin Knight, who was basically their invisible man. And then we also had Jeffrey Combs as fucking Dr. Mordred. I mean, that's Full Moon already had their own little superhero team right there. And they were doing like Marvel style, you know, after the credits things to tie them into each other. Before that was ever a thing with Marvel, for sure. I mean, really, that probably comes from like, I don't know, old Grindhouse movies or something where at the end there would be like, kind of like with Bubba Hotep, where at the end it says that there's going to be like another movie, but it just never happened.
Well, there was supposedly supposed to be a sequel to that, but we never got it.
You know what I mean, though? Like at the end of old movies back then, during a certain period, they would end and it would be like, coming next summer, blah, 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 blah. You know, like Bubba Nosferatu, he's hunting vampires this time or some shit.
I think they did turn that into a comic or something.
Yeah, that did eventually happen in some way, I would imagine. But point being, you know, you really can watch those first three movies individually, but when you watch them as part of the whole thing with All Man versus Demonic Toys, it's pretty great. Sorry, Brandon.
Oh,
Sorry.
the cat was doing something.
She clawed my stomach.
Yeah.
She reached up between my legs and went for my stomach.
Yeah.
Cat was going for her. But yeah, I think that the Dollman series would have been a great one to go. Shoot, the Shrunken Heads could have joined with them. You know, give them a little bit of that backup.
There you go.
The Unlucky Charms could have come in there somewhere.
Actually, I could have seen him pair up with the main hero from Trancers. To tell you the truth, those two would have been a good.
Oh,
team
who?
up.
Dollman?
Yeah.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Well, yeah.
I mean,
Dollman and Jack Death, yeah. Yeah, they're not that different from each other, really.
Trancers is like his Starship Troopers section of the Full Moon franchise.
Oh yeah, but that doesn't mean they couldn't cross over with the horror.
Very true.
I mean, you could have some of the cowboys from the Western one that they did, like the.
I mean,
Alien
arguably,
Western.
Jack Death is like fighting space zombies the whole time, or time zombies, or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of horror. You're talking about Oblivion, right?
Yeah,
Brandon?
Oblivion.
Yeah, it's a shame that we
yeah.
didn't get to see him cross over with that.
Fucking Sulu in Oblivion. Oh my god.
It's been so long since I've seen Oblivion. I've got a lot of these to rewatch them. But the only Full Moon I've watched recently, I haven't watched it recently, but I wanted to go back through all the Evil Bong films and then watch Ouija's.
Ouija's is so good, dude. And it even has that Sean C. Phillips guy in there that Dave complains about sometimes. That, you know,
I like that
it's
guy, but
just
they really
such-
hate him in those movie collector groups.
God, because
Well-
he's kind of obnoxious. It sounds like from the way that he like gets into things. I'm sorry, Sean.
He's
if you hear
he's been
this.
bugging me a lot for money for his films, and he just
Actually, I'm
doesn't
not.
get it.
Yeah, that dude seems like I prefer him when he was fat, honestly. Every role that I've seen with him back then was like, I like this dude.
The
He's
thing
fun,
is,
Oh,
But when I see
Actually,
him now, he feels like he's like almost too hungry, like he's trying to eat that movie out from underneath him like a fucking termite.
I've wanted to be involved in like maybe an acting thing in some of the movies over the time, and it just seems like he will do anything, beg down the director's door, like Facebook pages, just to get into these films. And
At the same time, though, don't hate the player, hate the game. Obviously,
yep. I mean,
dude knows what
if
he's
you've
doing
seen,
because he's in a lot of fucking movies.
actually, there are some that I really like. Like, there's a movie called Fat Planet that I think David Sterling did. I can't remember.
yes,
And both he and Wet Movie 1 are in it, and I think they both do an excellent job in those films. I did really like them both in that, and
I think he's in Paranormal Investigation Agency as far as the Chris Seaver movies go. And I actually really like him in that. He's like one of the funniest parts of the movie.
Oh yeah.
So, and that's saying something next to Chris Seaver and his crew.
Hmm.
The dude knows what he can do really good if you put him in the position to do it. But I don't know. And Ouija's, I don't want to spoil it. You guys will watch it and love it.
I just wish that he could let some of us who might
Dave, the
want
only
the
thing
opportunity.
stopping you from being in a movie is going out and trying to get in that movie.
I mean, in reality,
I absolutely
he's more
reject
directing
the
now,
argument
so-
that Sean. Yeah, I absolutely
He's
reject
good.
the argument that Sean C. Phillips being in a bunch of movies takes away spots for us because we're not Sean C. Phillips, so
Well, he's kind
we're
of.
not going to get that.
Oh wait, we're live on air.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to talk bad about anybody on here. But
No one's talking bad. We're just being like
No,
actually critical.
no. I would say some stuff.
But like I say,
We'll
I
save
think
that then for the post show, but I don't think he's taking anybody's role away, dude. If they want me or you in a movie, Dave, they're gonna cast me or you in a movie.
Exactly.
Like,
And plus, he's directing.
we're not
now,
exactly dudes that look like we could fit into multiple roles.
Yeah.
We fit a certain type, bro.
He's directing
Bartenders.
now, so he probably is more looking for people to act in his movies now than he is taking the parts away.
He's more looking for charging people to get into his movies these days. So
People do that.
I don't know anything about that, so I can't speculate on it. And again, like Brandon pointed out, we're probably not. I mean, I'm not trying to like badmouth the dude.
No.
I just noticed he's in a lot of movies, and I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I preferred you when you were fat. You seemed more fucking.
Well, this
grateful
turned
to be
into a
in the
whole
movie.
thing.
Well,
Now you're like a vlogger or some shit, and you do that, and that's fine. But I don't know, man.
well,
I don't really know
mean-
like all those ins and outs of the situation like you guys do. So
those early things like
he's
the thing where he
just
was,
not
like,
gonna watch this.
I mean, the stuff he was doing with MJ was really pretty awesome as well. Back in the day, a lot of his early stuff, or Tripping Across America, I think it was the movie he did, was pretty good. It's, I mean, a lot of good comedy, a lot of high energy early on. which was
Well,
like I say, I mean,
yeah, dude. I mean, he was like a legitimately funny dude, and I guess that maybe that's why I don't like the newer roles where I've seen him, because he's like more known now as like a YouTube guy. So I'm just gonna say it, like that's basically why he's at the party
Yeah.
in Ouija's, is that he's like blogging or whatever. It's pretty funny, and when they show him, because it's like, oh, that dude,
No.
but
his appearance in Children of
I don't
Camp
know.
Blood.
I liked him.
Oh.
I haven't got to that one yet. So.
Now, his appearance in that, he's actually not a vlogger. He actually does he has a fairly decent role in that one. And,
is it funny? Because he used to be able to nail some jokes, man.
So it wasn't that bad in that one, I think. As far as out of the newer stuff, that's the one I remember the best from. You've seen Children of Camp Blood, right, Dave?
I have it. I haven't watched it yet.
I'm probably one of the few who sees them as soon as they come out, because I'm like, oh, I gotta see it.
I just haven't had the time to sit and just watch through. I've watched Camp Blood 1, 2, and 3, and then anything else afterwards, I just have to find the time to watch.
See, I think we're at 6 now. And
It honestly baffles me how you guys like those.
Why though? I mean, it's just fun. It's just a bit of fun,
Yeah.
Camp Blood.
Hard,
I mean, Camp Blood 1, 2, and 3 are actually pretty darn good.
I don't like them in the same way that I like.
I've been kind of scared off of indie movies. I've been kind of scared off of indie movies, so maybe that's just my bias.
Are you talking Within the Woods or Camp Blood 3? When you say the third movie, we talking
the third movie is the one that you're talking about, Brandon. You know that we're stuck with that right now. It sucked. You were right, but I think the fourth one is worse.
Well,
It is. But anyways, why were you scared off of indie, Dustin?
Yeah. I used to get most of my movies from Family Video. Oh, sorry, my audio was kind of messed up. I used to get most of my movies from Family Video, and I would buy a lot of indie movies from there to sell on eBay. That's kind of how I would fund my collecting. I would keep the stuff that I liked. And I saw a lot of really, really bad. I used to call them basement movies because they looked like they'd been made in a basement. I saw a lot of really not great stuff, and it kind of tainted my opinion of a lot of indie films. And so I'm looking at the case for Camp Blood. I'm looking at the case for Camp Blood, and it's like, oh no, this looks like one of those. And everybody else is like, watch Camp Blood, watch Camp Blood. It's like, no, you can't make it.
It is.
Get away.
So you just gotta, I don't know, man. Have you ever been struck with like the ambition to make your own film? Like, you ever been seen something and been like, that looks like so much fun what those guys are doing, you know? I want to do it with my friends even if it sucks, you know? Like, that's kind of what DIY filmmaking is, and why you get into movies like that. It's a different it's a different grading scale of what makes it good. You know what I mean?
I get it. Okay.
Camp Blood was also
supposed to feel like they're from a basement, you know.
Camp Blood was also the first independent feature from the shot on film video era that made it into Blockbuster, and that was a huge thing. A huge thing. It was
because it led to all types of us getting into that shit that never would have, you know.
Correct. It's a monumental
Wood Chipper
film.
Massacre, Splatter Farm, all that shit.
Well, those came later, but Camp Blood started it all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Camp Blood got them into Blockbuster, right? So you could find like Wood Chipper Massacre at a Blockbuster, and it's like some shot on video movie from some kid that lives like in some random state over there on the East Coast where you guys have more of them than you need, you know.
Which is why I ended up talking with the director of Camp Blood, and I have a very good producer relationship with him. He did the some anthologies with VHS type stuff, and I'm looking
I
forward
like
to
the
when
David
that comes.
Sterling shit. I don't like this weird dynamic where it's like there's movies that you can't get or that are retitled or moved around like on some whim. It just hurts me inside, like trying to rectify the timeline of the whole
It's
thing.
unfortunate that David
Yeah.
Sterling is. He's a businessman, and he likes what he likes. And when a director doesn't like something that he doesn't do, I mean, that's why he lost Things too. For the Things box set. I mean, he had it on DVD, but then there's something that happened with him and the director of it, where he just couldn't like put it out, and it sucks. But those of us who were able to pick it up at the time picked it up. So
Are lucky, and those of us that bought like a awesome, like, decorative box set are fucked.
Well, yeah. Things 2 was an excellent film. Things 1 and 2 and 3 were all excellent films as far as anthology horror goes. They are old school, and they are like shot on video types, but they are great. It's sad because when they were on DVD, Sterling couldn't get the rights back for 3. And now that they're on Blu-ray, he's got 3 back, but he can't get the rights to 2.
who knows? Maybe he'll be able to get the rights back to
Things One's
eventually.
Things One is kind of a masterpiece, almost. I would say
Things
of
666.
that type of filmmaking. And
Have any of y'all seen it yet? I've
I've-
heard of it.
nah, I haven't made it that far in.
But much like Camp Blood, it kind of went off the rails once it came back. Like 3 of Camp Blood was, I mean, the 3 numerically was 4 and 5 were terrible. But after you got the Camp Blood 6, I think they picked up their stride again, and they've been pretty decent ever since.
Oh yeah, ever since Mark Polonia took over, I think
Honestly, 4
I'm
was
hoping the
so
same for
fucking bad that I was just, dude, I don't know how to feel about that 3rd and 4th movie. I don't even like the 3rd one that much.
Oh, the 5th one's worse.
And
Much worse.
maybe it's because you guys already tainted me knowing that it's not the actual 3rd one, but even before we really talked in depth about that and I was watching it, it's so jarring going from the awesome, like, nasty shot on video vibe of the first 2 right to this horse shit with like CGI. Not even CGI. Some of it was like I've used those same blood textures when I was making a background before.
Now that's still
Type
pretty
shit.
much throughout, but 666 is where it comes. It gets a little bit better. Things I did not like Things 4 and 5, but I'm hoping that. But Things 2. TOO, which they included because they didn't have the second Things, wasn't that bad. So my hope is that Things 666 will match that pace.
Yeah, and Joe Sherlock is the one that's going to be behind the last Things in that series. I think he's still yet to film the last things that he was purported to film for that. See, I like Joe Sherlock's stuff, so I'm going to go into it with an open mind once I do. I've watched Things 1, 2, and 3. And I know I reviewed the first one.
Oh, I absolutely
They're
hated
fun, dude. I haven't seen that. Is that Is that the one with like the sock puppets on the ground?
I saw the thirst things on the last drive-in with Joe Bob, and I couldn't figure out what was happening.
Now, Things
Is
5.
it the anthology film, or is it the one where it's like the dudes that made it
Bizarre
drunk in Nova
creatures
Scotia
disappear.
somewhere?
Keep in mind,
Yeah,
Things
it's
5 is pretty much just a bunch of nude shower scenes of women for the entirety of it, and maybe a little bit of monster stuff in between, and they drop the anthology angle.
see that
Maybe
sounds like a
direct
perfect movie for
supplies.
when like you and your friends are drunk. Yeah. So I could see that being something I would give like a point for that, but that's about it. I don't know. The box sets are infinitely cooler than the movies themselves, and some of them are pretty good though. Unfortunately, I ran into a bit of a moisture
See, I'm
issue.
still so
with
glad
my...
that I have this is
Hold on,
Things
hold on,
3.
hold on.
Let
Hold
me
on,
finish,
we'll put
Dave.
you on there. Yeah, dude. Hold on. Unfortunately, I ran into a bit of a moisture issue with the Apes box set. Like, shit happened. It got wet, like near it, but it's like that corrugated cardboard, so it immediately like sucked it up like a fucking sponge into that corner. The second moisture touched it. Yeah, I picked it up like right away too. I was like, "Oh fuck, that's gonna get the way it all happened," and it still fucked up my box set. But they told me that it only cost $22 to replace it, so I know that for sure. That was a quote from Sterling himself because they were like, "Oh, we'll hit them up and check about the availability," and then they got back to me and they said $22 plus shipping. We'll send you an invoice, like we'll order it for you and send you an invoice, and they just haven't. The movies inside were fine. I mean, I love those box sets, dude. They're
the artwork's
some of the
spectacular.
nicest box sets I've ever got. They're just unfortunately made out of super absorbent material. And then I fucked up and didn't like dab it. I wiped, so it like wiped the whole first layer of paint off the shit. Like it just was a train wreck, dude.
Well,
And in my head, I'm
that.
like, boom, $100 down the drain because this shit had to fucking some act of God made my table wet for a second. If it was like a Shout Factory or something, like you just wiped it off, it'd have been nothing. But they're not made out of like that spongy cardboard that those Sterling sets are made out of. So the second it touched like that little bit of water, it just sucked every bit of it up into it. It's terrifying.
But yeah,
you guys ever fuck up a high-end collectible? Come on, everybody's done it at least once.
My friend Caleb knocked over my Masters of Horror Season 2 and like cracked the box. It was that's the box set. That's the skull that has the discs in it.
Yeah,
he cracked the plastic outer box. So now I can't sell it for $200 like I had planned to.
I didn't, but that Toxic Avenger complete set that I picked up at Walmart, it came damaged. So unfortunately, I couldn't do nothing about
sometimes.
it. That plastic outer box, Dustin, I will say, it gets fragile as heck over time.
It was still aggravating. There was also another one. There was also another time where I backed up my chair. Like somebody distracted me, and I backed up my chair too hard, and I bumped into a table, and I knocked over the real Ghostbusters, like complete collection set, like the Firehouse box set. It fell on the floor, and like the box ripped like really hard. It is very possible and probably likely, however, that the tear in the box was already there and I didn't see it before, though.
But still,
So
it's rare and it's
possible,
oh,
possible
man.
I didn't actually damage it.
I mean, it's rare and it's
Okay,
and
you want
hard to
you want to
that
hear
is,
something
so.
else on that end? Okay, like
Oh, I got it for like half of what it was worth, so
not gonna lie,
still pretty
dude.
good.
First full moon replica I got in, I guess I technically broke. It was my pinhead. Like he showed up, and every video I saw online, people were bending him all over the place. So the first thing I did was like bend his arm, and I heard like this rip. But then I looked, and it's like none of the fabric's ripped. He looks normal. But then later I took his sleeve back, and it was like some of the foam rubber underneath ripped. And I think it's because he was cold. You know, I brought him in like right out of the cold and pulled him out and was like, "Yay, pinhead!" and started like bending his arms and shit. And that one piece of foam rubber was just probably too cold and like split. It's not a big deal. You can't see it when you look at the replica, you know. But it's one of those things that will always internally bug me, so I've got to fix it at some point. Point being, don't just go wrenching on your replicas when you get them.
Yeah.
Let them warm up a bit inside, you know, so that foam rubber is not so like clenched.
Yeah, I had to reglue that bong to the Gingerweed Man. But hey, still, I'm glad that I got him, and thank you again, Mo, for that one. That was the whole family is together, which is awesome.
Yes. I'm kind of wanting to break mine and try to, but I feel like if I break it on purpose, it's not gonna break right, you know, and then it's just gonna be a mess. He does come with his bong bizarrely upside down, though. And didn't you hit them up and they said like, "Oh, that's not supposed to happen" or something?
I mean, now the one that I love is, and the one that you see if you watch my channel, which is my Ginger Dead Man.
Mm-hmm.
That one I got as an actual movie prop that they made specifically for backers of Evil Bong 777. If you backed at a certain level, or 666, one of those two.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's glorious, man, because you still can't get anything like that.
it was worth the backing for that. It was just because he's already paid it off just in the fact he's been in our show a lot.
Yeah, he really has. I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy with the replicas I got. We're not going to be showing them off tonight because that's, you know, saved for a separate video. But I don't know. I guess before we close this out right now at the almost 3-hour mark, anyone got, you know, any last minute pickups they're especially stoked on? It doesn't have to be full moon.
Well, today my Black Friday order from Vinegar Syndrome came. I could go get that stuff.
Yeah, do it.
All right, give me a minute.
Yeah, I picked up my 6-string samurai from that set. So, is anybody actually psyched about Jack Frost 1 and 2 getting a re-release again on MV?
I mean, I kind of am.
MVD? I almost am sad that I got the Vinegar Syndrome Jack Frost.
Oh, you mean the Rewind series?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't even because it doesn't go with the Vinegar Syndrome one. So, but it's okay. I can't imagine the other one, that the new one that's coming out is any better than the Vinegar Syndrome one is release wise.
Well, I know that I was stoked about getting Stubbs the Zombie, which is coming Friday.
Actually, we got a lot of stuff in the mail this week, so let's dive on in, I guess.
I know I got the new Candyman for real cheap.
Oh, it's about time. So I'm going to start with Curveball here. So Vinegar Syndrome is starting to branch out into... could you mute or something, please? Vinegar Syndrome is starting to branch out into like vinyl, and one of their first releases is Freddy's Nightmares, the soundtrack, which has apparently never been available anywhere, like literally ever before. So this is their triple LP. So that finally showed up after forever.
It is cool. I remember you were bummed on it at first because it wasn't the show, and I get that.
Yeah, well, the way they announced it, like they
look at
played a
it.
trailer for the show, and they're a Blu-ray release company, so it was like, holy crap, you know. But,
yeah, we are going to get it one of these days, but
What was Freddy's Nightmares?
it was an anthology series,
Yeah.
kind of like Twilight Zone, but each story involved Freddy, and Freddy was kind of the cause of whatever would happen to the person in the episode.
Arguably one of the better shows like that, or at least of the several that were based on certain properties.
Yeah.
See, I know that
The Friday the 13th show has nothing to do with.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th, despite being a pretty good show by itself.
It was a good anthology
it's
show.
decent.
That pilot episode of that series was freaking awesome with that possessed doll. So I do wish they had Jason
It's
referenced
decent.
somewhere in the series.
Well, there was
just
a thing written
also
where they found Jason's mask.
Yeah,
But I sprung for the bundle, so I got like a bunch of extra swag too. So came with a shirt, and I'm just gonna flash it real quick.
it's still pretty neat.
All this stuff. So there's some prints in here, some pins, stickers. There's an episode guide for Freddy's Nightmares, which they are trying to actually release. Apparently, they can't do an HD release of it because the material simply does not exist in an HD-able format. So basically, VHS quality is the very best you're going to get because of the way it was recorded. It's crazy, but anyway, onto actual movie pickups. So today we had Vinegar Syndrome stuff, and then last week we got some stuff too. So our first Vinegar Syndrome buy was the 4K of Ticks, which has a lot more extras than the previous release, which was like $100 for the longest time.
It didn't even need to, at least around here, it didn't even need to be a movie. It was just a poster they had at the store for a long time. And then I swear to God, for like a solid 2-3 years that they had it up, every time we go to the river, there would be that person immediately that was like, "Ah, I got ticks," you know, like it just makes you think about it like extra hard, you know, because you're already gonna get them going down like through the bush or whatever, but that poster just seemed to bring it out of people.
And then we got Madman, which I guess they played this on Joe Bob too, but I missed that episode. And of course, Shudder lost the rights, so that episode's gone. So, apparently Shout Factory has this too, so I'm not sure who has the better release, but we'll see. And this is kind of like one of their weird Black Friday items. I already had Graduation Day, so that's not it, but Graduation Day was one of their early titles before they started doing slipcovers. And so for Black Friday, one of their special things was you could get slipcovers for a few of their titles that never had them. So I got a slipcover for Graduation Day.
Nice.
Which actually does look really nice. Like it was kind of expensive. It was like $8, but it handsomes it up pretty nicely.
Yeah, it is nice.
And then the last thing on the Vinegar Syndrome order was The Fear, which I know Wes Craven is in this, and that's pretty much the only reason I bought it. It's supposed to be pretty good, too. So, we'll see.
Yeah. I mean,
I have
it's been
never
a long time.
Upgrade to that because my copy looks really rad with the yellow. It's a yellow DVD case. that the original release comes in, and it's just
Oh, really?
you don't see that very often. So I just have a hard time giving that up.
So I also had a visit to Best Buy last week, so I was able to find the apparently now expensive There Will Be Carnage Steelbook.
Nice.
So I'm kind of happy about that. And then they just had this lying around, Resident Evil collection, which I've never seen any of these, but I kind of wanted to. So, and they price
I'm
matched to
sort of
Amazon,
getting
so
to
it was like
that part
$20.
too, man. I don't know what it is. It's like I always sort of wrote them off as trash, which they probably are, and from all accounts, most of them are. But
Resident Evil.
that stuff can be fun, I guess. You know.
If you know what you're getting into,
I saw the first one
they're
in
fun.
theater, and I was like bummed because it really wasn't the game at all.
I hear the new one follows the games more closely.
Yeah, just
Yeah, it's
if you're
way
looking at
easier.
those movies, don't actually expect anything great. Don't expect it to follow the game, but expect it to give shout outs to people who are fans of the game, and you'll have fun with them. I've enjoyed all of them. I never watched the last one, but I really enjoyed them just because they're good, trashy fun.
I agree.
I only
Yeah, and that's
I
what I
only
keep
know.
hearing, and it's like it makes me want to fuck with them because
See,
back when I tried, I was so stuck to the game that I couldn't appreciate it.
I only know about Resident Evil because that Nemesis creature from one of them appears in Dead by Daylight as a killer. And so that's really all I know about Resident Evil is that there's some creature is that there's a Nemesis in there. Speaking of Dead by Daylight, I actually went and picked this up because they announced early that they're having a Ring chapter. So the Sudoku, what's her name?
Nice.
What's her
Sadako.
name?
Sadako.
Yeah, she's coming to Dead by Daylight. So I kind of ran out and got the Arrow Ring collection.
I still
Well,
want
Ring Boom
the
collection.
Same one I have.
I still want the Ring
Yeah.
versus.
You actually
Grudge
get
to
4
come out.
movies in there.
Yeah, you do. It's pretty impressive. It's a pretty impressive box set. It's a little thicker than I thought it would be. I was mostly
Those
interested in
arrow
the
sets
extras
always
where they
are nice
explain
and
it to
beefy
you,
like that.
because I don't
It's got all
usually
the same
like or
extras
do.
on it as the deluxe set. We just don't get the booklet and all that bullshit.
Yeah, I don't usually like or do or watch like Japanese horror, so I was really interested in the extras for getting like an explanation of here's why this works like this, because
The
I
first
did some
one's
digging
slow
on this
burn
one.
for sure. And
Mhm.
but I love it, dude. I mean, like that last,
A lot of people
when it
do,
finally
yeah.
builds to that
Oh.
last point, it's fucking great. I'm not gonna say anything else, but
Japanese horror
Ringo
is
needs
it's got one of the
interesting.
most disgusting endings of any films I've ever seen.
Japanese horror
And
is interesting.
And apparently they dented the corner, and I just never noticed. Oh, well.
Now, if
I th-
to tell you the truth, I would have gotten that set if they'd included the American releases as well, or the American movies, because I have one that they sold at Walmart for $4. They sold
that's the
a
one
collection
I
that's the
have,
exact
yeah.
same collection.
Well, I've never seen any of them, like remake included. So
Oh wow, that Ringo. I mean,
Dude,
Ring,
let me
Ring
tell you,
was
them
creepy
being
as heck.
cleaned up, it's Arrow, so of course they cleaned them up and like it looks dope, dude. It's
Yep.
it does.
like
what?
It's an awesome looking
honestly,
set.
the whole movie feels like watching a crisp VHS tape for the same time, for the first time, which is weird.
That should be interesting.
Japanese horror
It's-
is interesting because American cinema loves to take Japanese cinema and like remake it for and
Dark Water. The
and
Grudge.
water it down and make it like super fucking, like no hard corners in any of it. It's all rounded edges for toddlers.
I don't know. Dark Water was a shot-for-shot recreation. I've watched those two back
Well,
to
I mean,
back. There is nothing. There's no real difference between
I've
the two.
not seen the original one yet, and I have the one with her ass, Jennifer You know what I'm
They're
talking.
both-
I mean, we've obviously seen the same versions. I just don't have the original one yet, so I haven't watched
Yeah,
them.
apparently, Dead by Daylight got the rights to the original story, so that's why I went with that specific version.
No, Ringu is superior to The Ring.
Well, I wish you a good journey on those.
It'll be a while. It doesn't come out till March, and I have so much other stuff I need to watch.
No,
I've been really lazy on watching movies this year. It's kind of sad in retrospect because I have a shelf I bought at the beginning of the year, and it's like, okay, all the movies I watched this year are gonna go on the shelf, and I'm gonna see how much stuff I watched this year in a year. And then I was like depressed and did other stuff pretty much the entire year, and didn't watch hardly anything. And so the experiment completely failed.
yeah.
You never know, though. There's still time, dude. Just start back to back in movies for the next few days.
I think I very well might, although a lot of the games I play are having holiday events, so I've been doing pretty much nothing but that for the last few days.
I'm telling you, you guys need to get to y'all Milwaukee people need to get together and do a movie marathon night and just marathon a whole bunch of stuff back to back to back.
Dude, if I lived that close to them, they wouldn't be able to escape them. I'd be doing them probably once a month. Yeah.
I just been stuck on Have Gun Will Travel most of the month. It's such a long show. I think I finally finished season 4, so 2 more seasons to go on that, and I'll watch other stuff.
Who
I might
knows?
actually start watching Alice in Wonderland stuff to prepare to help out with Danny.
I figured, Dustin, you probably pre-ordered those alligator babies, and maybe we can set up something where we actually do a alligator 1 and 2 marathon, and you can bring over your copies or something.
I have a 4K TV. I'm watching it. I'm watching it on my 4K TV.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. If I lived there, I think I would be organizing a lot more fucking nights where we all
You would
got
be
together
welcome to
and
come watch them on my
movies.
4K TV.
Well, fine. Then we can do a double
You got a
feature
spot
at your
where we
place
can
as long as
barbecue
you're okay
ribs
with that.
because that's as long
Well,
as that's cool,
it is a
then
studio crypt, so
Hey,
Hey, I can barbecue it out front.
I'd be down to do a marathon here and there with you on a Monday that Septum Sin is being selfish on, and
What?
because he has his video nights. We haven't
don't
done
even
any
have to,
discussions on
live
your
stream
channel
it.
in a while.
I'm
That's why.
confused.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I don't know
We
what he's
had
talking about, but it would be rad to just watch Phantasm and make ribs. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Excuse me.
It'd be good to just have a full media night. It'd be good to get something streamable. Sadly, the best way I see on a lot of these platforms, because it's hard to get it to where the sound of what you're presenting video-wise is good. That would be one of those things that would be cool to have it organized. Okay, let's all start at the same time and just watch it together and just be able to comment as we go.
This other podcast group that I've followed, or this podcast that I followed for a while, used to do these scream and chat sessions on Sundays where they would get a movie like that and everybody could start it at the same time and just talk shit about it in a group chat, or something like this that we had going on the side. All of them seem too chicken to do actual video chats, but I could see us having fun with something playing on the side once a month that we all just take the piss on.
I'm going to be watching
Or
the
have
most
fun.
horrific movie of all this week. I'll be watching White Christmas. Super horror movie right there.
Damn.
Actually, that'd be interesting. Watch White Christmas and Black Christmas back to back.
Yeah, more people should do it. Dave, where do you go?
Oh, the Wheelers came after him.
Sorry. I just muted everything. That's all. But I need to get rid of this cough before I even plan anything. So I need to get my
Yeah.
health in order before I even. I don't want. I know I'm not in the contagious factor of making you catch it, but I know I'm noisy
I know
enough.
what you mean. Yeah.
But
It happens, man.
honestly, I just need to. I've done the whole going and trying to get medication to help. It's not helping, so I got to go to the actual doctor after the holidays and see if he can't get me something to fucking stop this cough because it's just not going away.
Yeah.
It might need
If you
like
want
a
to hook me up
pulmonologist
with
to
your
look at it.
choices for the
I might need
medications
something with
that you were
codeine.
trying before you sought doctors,
Mm.
let me know. Damn.
But
Yeah, you might need to get like a specialist for something like that because that cough's been with you since like mid-November.
yeah,
So
and I did the Z pack, and I've been on antibiotics,
yeah.
and I'm running out of those antibiotics, and it's like shit. Well, it's hard to get into the doctor to begin with because he's got scheduling all the way out to April, so it's like, well, what do I do? I can't just keep going to the emergency clinics nearby. I honestly need to do something about it. But I'm glad that I haven't have a job and stuff like that. So that's that's always nice. So other than that,
For sure.
I think we're pretty much done here.
Yeah, I think so, probably too.